been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
We're here at the Denso NHRA 4Y Nationals here in Las Vegas. Man, we have got two-time funny car, top fuel champion, Cruz Pedregon here, icon of the sport. Dude, we just so appreciate you taking the time. But I got to ask you, so we know in 1986 you were driving go-karts, and a year later you're in a dragster. What made that change of going from wanting to do, track racing to running down straight track racing?
I started out with something I could afford, so there was a little dirt track, a few dirt track races in Southern California that I started racing. Like I said, I could afford it. They're still expensive, but I always had my eye on drag racing. So I caught the eye of an owner that had a low budget team, started out very humble beginnings. I basically worked for food. I worked to race for nothing. So, but I started out, you couldn't have started out further down the ladder than I did, but I'm glad I did because I was able to parlay that into driving for a bigger team through the years, won a championship, and here we are. I own my own team. I've been in business for like 15 years now, or 20 years on my own with Snap-on and Kicker and all the great sponsors, so very exciting time.
Cruz, we know you're super passionate about what you do. We're curious, what drives you, what refuels you off the track when you're at home?
Well, I have a daughter now, so it's, I just love my daughter. She's going on 8 years old, so, priorities change a little bit, but I've always had this passion for racing, so much so that that's all I would do morning, noon, and night. I would think about it when I got up. I go to bed at night. Racing was my entire life, and it still is, but I share a little bit of that during the off time with my daughter Raya and my girlfriend Melissa. So, it's one of those things where the desire to perform at this level and to do it, I feel like I have my best years ahead of me. I have so much more experience than I did when I started out that I want to put that to good use. So here we are.
That's awesome. Well, man, I tell you, Kicker is super proud to be associated with you. We're blessed to be part of, the team and helping out. And hey, now that we've got this killer PA system back here jamming the pits, what's that mean for you and your team and your guests and everybody in your organization?
Well, having a brand like Kicker, number one, is an honor for us, really. I know it's a brand that goes way back. Heck, we've all heard of them. So for them to be, you guys support us like you do is really an honor for us. but we want to do our part on the racetrack and you know, and put your guys' name out there. But as far as what you guys just created for us was really cool. I didn't have any idea of the quality of sound with all the noise, all the race cars starting, all the voices and all the generators running, that we could still hear loud and clear the PA system. So thanks to KICKER, great product, you know, and we have a lot of Snap-on guests that are invited to come out here as part of the customer service to say thank you to the Snap-on customers for buying the tools. So it's a great opportunity for us to speak to them but not have to yell. So they appreciate it. Like I say, the brand speaks for itself. It's quality. So you know, we're tickled to have them.
Well, thank you so much, man. Look, look, after 32 some years of blasting down the track, pulling 4Gs, what keeps you pushing to do this, man?
You know, it's amazing because you never get used to these cars. Like, my eyes still burn like everybody else. They're still loud, but they accelerate. Every run is like a new run. You never know what they're going to do, but I feel like I have a little bit less stress because I kind of know what the car is supposed to do and what it feels like to make a good run. So, like I said, as a driver, yeah, I've got a few miles on me, but I think in this sport, you can still be a little older and still be able to perform at a high level. So that's what I look at as you know, I don't feel like I'm a deficient guy in this driver's seat. If anything, I hope I can bring something to it. But the day's gonna come, hey, I'm an owner and I have a fast car. The day's gonna come where, hey, I'm gonna wanna look at a younger driver and somebody, you know, to replace me so I can maintain ownership and maybe tune that guy into a championship or gal, whoever. So, but it's a business. I look at it as a business. It has to make sense down the road, but I'm not looking, I say another 4 or 5 years in this seat, I'm good.
Hey, I know you're running tight on time. You got a last qualifying run. Again, we're blessed to be with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We love you, brother.
Guys, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
See you.
Flash! This just in. Extra low frequencies detected emanating from the heavens. Saucer-shaped objects confirmed all over the world. Unidentified flying K saucers spotted delivering KICKER's amazing new Comp Q super woofer. Built for precision, built for abuse, built for the future and benefit of mankind. KICKER's new Comp Q woofer leaves audiences astounded and amazed as it reveals subtleties in their favorite music in a way that is sure to make women blush and grown men cry. The surround features KICKER's variable cross-section high-roll design, allowing extended cone travel and excellent cone control. It's firmly attached to the cone, reinforced with our iconic stitching. Betsy Ross would be so proud. The injection molded solo cone and laser X cone brace combined in a single ultra-rigid unit. Venting in the brace relieves performance-robbing back pressure. All this adds up to very low distortion and amazingly clean low bass. The progressive roll blue lace spider adds even more cone control at maximum excursion. The woven tinsel leads are sandwiched between the spider and the lace for durability and long life and to prosper. The spring terminal's heavy-duty square design accepts wires as big as 8-gauge or two 12-gauge wires for multi-sub installations. The high-temp voice coil is rumored to be spun upon the looms of the gods of polyamide fiberglass, along with a reinforced former for high strength and power handling. Now, add colossal magnets, plus a cavernous bump back plate, an extended pole piece created in a single forging, the likes that haven't been seen.
Mic check on Kip.
Check 1, 2 from Kip.
Mic check good.
Superior control and effective heat dissipation that extreme performance demands. The all-new KICKER KICKER Comp Q is designed from the ground up to deliver everything you demand from a premium subwoofer. High output, deep, powerful, accurate bass, remarkably small enclosure requirements, stunning good looks, and not to mention the ability to frighten small children when turned up to 11. So there you have it. The all-new KICKER Comp Q subwoofer. Another zenith of innovation and epic majesty from KICKER.
I built my first speaker to be louder. I was playing in a band and the drummer played so loud and the keyboard that I had wouldn't play very loud, and I went to my dad and said, I need a bigger speaker. It's a Fender Bandmaster, it costs $300. He dropped the newspaper. It said, $300? Yeah, but he didn't say no. He said, is it something that we could build? And so that's how I got started building speakers. The thing that I love to see is a product that we made and get to stand back kind of anonymously and watch somebody take a look at it, listen to it, and go, wow. I think that's what really lights my fires, to make products that people enjoy and have fun with. As time went on, I heard people say, you know, KICKER's like a family. I actually didn't set out to do that. I thought it sounded kind of hokey. I thought they were insincere and just saying that. After a few years, I realized, yeah, maybe that's what we've got. And that's the key, is the good people on your team in the band that makes the band really great. Well, I think KICKER is primarily a lifestyle company. That's a little backwards of where I started. I thought we were a technology company and we would make great products, but as time went on, realized that it's about people and helping people to enjoy their life and what they do. And that's what I do, too. So share the love a little bit, I guess.
You know, it's got a catchy beat and I can kind of dance to it. Good evening, everyone. You know it's Tuesday night. 7:30 Central Time. Welcome to the Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly Show. We do it every Tuesday night right here at 7:30 on our Facebook and YouTube channels. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you guys have had a wonderful week so far. 2 days are out, 3 more to go, and then it's weekend time. I know I'm looking forward to that, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Good news is I'm getting to go on another short vacation. I'm actually going home. I'll be leaving the studio once we're done with this, getting things ready, and then I'm out for a few days. I'm going home, so my brother John, I can be at his wedding, which is kind of cool. So I'll get to go back to Ohio, enjoy some cool weather for a few days. But I will be back in the studio. I'll be actually coming back Monday, so you don't have to worry. I will be back for next Tuesday's show. But if anybody's out in the Ohio area wants to say hello, drop a hello, because that's where I'll be heading out Thursday morning. It's going to be a good time. Paula, my wife, and I are going to have a good time, going to have some, make some memories and enjoy my brother John getting married back in Ohio. So that's going to be fun. Just thought I'd share that since, you know, you guys see a lot of stuff we do here anyway. You know, we have got a show tonight that's a little unique. It's how to do things wrong. And what we've done is we've pulled together a pile of pictures that we can all look at, analyze, see what was tried to be done, and then kind of attack and say, okay, we kind of see where they were going with this. Where should they have done to get this install done properly? I think it's going to be a good time. If any of you have some photos you'd like to share, you're more than welcome to reach out to social@kicker.com. That gets you right in touch with Bill Frog. If you got a great photo of something, maybe it's something you've experienced personally that you'd like to share, get those over to Bill. Hopefully we can get them on the show tonight if we have time. So if you have a good one, you want to share it, please send that on along so we can see it. To go on this ride, talking about all these installs done wrong, we have 2 special guests joining us tonight. I'm sure you probably saw in the teaser. We have Big D Wiz, Derek Williston from Williston Audio Labs. He's going to be joining us live here in a little bit. And as always, your boy, High Five Vega, Robert Vega. He's going to be joining us as well. I'm sure that they have some entertainment value to add to these photos. They may even have some of their own that they want to put up on screen. You never know with those 2 guys. They are fun to have on the show, and we're glad to have them joining us tonight. Speaking of joining us tonight, don't forget, we have a habit here on the Unmasked Live Weekly Show of having drawings, prizes, giveaways. We'd like to give back to the community. And so there are 2 drawings going on tonight. And I know Bill Frog, he's actually going to be scrolling that data across the bottom of the screen. But real quick, Ernie, if you could, will you bring up my laptop as an asset real fast? I want to go here and get this up on the screen. The first one is obviously kicker.com/UM Weekly. And this is the drawing that we do every Tuesday night. And those of you who are familiar with how the show works, we kick this off at 7:15 for entries. You can then enter the contest all the way up until 8:30 Central Time. At 8:30 Central Time, we shut the contest down. We draw our winners. Of course, you can see what we're giving away here. It's the usual affair. We're giving away a nice Kicker koozie. Keep your beverage nice and cold. A couple of our T-shirt, a couple of koozies, and then a set of EB 300 wireless earbuds. That's our 3rd and 2nd place winners. And our 1st place winner tonight, we always try to change up that grand prize winner. Tonight, you're going to walk away with a Bullfrog BF100 waterproof Bluetooth speaker. So that is the first drawing. It started now. You can enter anytime between now and 8:30. You have until then, and that is kicker.com/UM Weekly. And then I also want to draw attention to the next contest we've got going on. And this is the Master Tech Expo giveaway that we are doing in conjunction with Mobile Solutions. It'd be Brian Schmidt over there. Fantastic guy. We had him on the show. He agreed that we would get into this contest. We've got a lot of entries in this thing. We got 34 days left. We're going to round this contest out on October 4th. We'll draw the winner and announce them on the October 5th Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly Show. And the cool thing about this is, besides getting the seat, I mean, you're getting a seat at the Master Tech Expo this coming March, but we're also kicking in and we're going to cover your hotel room. We're going to cover a flight for one person to and from the event to get there, and we're popping up $350 cash so that you got some folding money that you can use while you're on this trip, whether it's for dinner, drinks, whatever you might need while you're out there. We are doing that there so you can participate with the Master Tech Expo. This is courtesy of Kicker, obviously, and Brian over at Mobile Solutions. Thank you, Brian. This is going to be a fun contest. Be sure you enter this one. Now, the kicker.com/giveaway, like I said, this one's going to run up until October 4th, so you got until then to enter. The nightly contest, you have until 8:30 Central Time, so be sure you go hit both of those up. Ernie, leave my laptop up real quick. I want to go over to take care of this while we're here. Wrong one. Don't want to go there. I want to go here. You know, we also have usually been going through all the different events where you could find Kicker out in the field. You know, the XRV, JW, myself, Ernie, Sandy, Bill, you know, a lot of us get out in the field and go to these events. And Bill did us a great favor. He's actually consolidated all these at the kicker.com Facebook page. So if you're wanting to know what events may be coming up, just simply hit the Kicker Facebook page. And when you get there, there's going to be over on the left-hand side, there'll be an events tab right there. Just click events. They'll show up over here on the right-hand side. Of course, Knowledge Fest Dallas, that's on the schedule for Friday, December 10th through the 12th. That was supposed to happen end of August, and that event got pushed. We're still going to participate in that event if it comes online, so that is back into our calendar. We also have the Showdown. That is going to be the Great Las Vegas Taco Festival. That is put on by our good friend Steve Barber over at Sharton on 'em, and that is going to be Saturday, November 6th and November 7th. That is actually the weekend right after SEMA. We're looking forward to that show. I lovingly refer to it as the, you know, as far as looking at it as the West Coast, which is where he's located, Vegas, obviously. I call it the Slamology of the West. Been to the show a few times. It's a great show, and it just keeps growing. Shout out to Steve. Maybe we need to get Steve on the show and talk about the event. Maybe we'll do that this month. That might be a good show idea. We also have still on the books, and hopefully everything will allow us to do this, is the Fall Old School Stereo Meet. Kicker has agreed to host that here this fall. That would be October 16th. So far, it's still on the books. Stay tuned. If anything should happen to cause us to have to cancel that, and you know what I'm talking about when I say that, we would have to pull that event. But right now, it's still on the books. We still feel comfortable. We'll have to evaluate that as we move forward and see how things are. And then last but not least, Friday, September 17th through the 19th, the Sand Sports Super Show. That's going to be out at the Costa Mesa, California Fairgrounds. It's a great show. JW will be out there with the XRV. So far, that event is still scheduled and to take place. Has not been canceled, has not had the plug pulled. So we're looking forward to that. And that basically takes care of events and contests that we have in the pipeline. So Ernie, I'm going to go back. You can pull my camera back up here. So that is kind of a wrap up of those key things that we kind of like to cover on every single show. If you're new, obviously the contest, you don't know about them. Now you know. Go hit the contest. Be sure you hit the /UM Weekly before 8:30. And the other one, you've got about 34 days to enter that contest. So tune in and hang on to that. We always like to let everyone know that at first it was just in the continental U.S., but we've expanded that out. Our good friends, our Canadian distributor up in Canada, that's Gemsen, Gemsen. So if you are from north of the border, besides having fantastic beer, you are also allowed to enter any of the Kicker Unmasked contests. So the one we do on a nightly basis on Tuesday, or even the big contest, you guys qualify. So if you're from Canada, and I saw a couple people in the feed chime in that they were from Canada, thank you for joining us, and please go enter those contests. We've actually had a couple Canadian winners, and we are glad that you guys are on board. When we get to the point that we can add other countries to the mix for drawings, as we work on that, we'll announce those here live on the show. But right now, it's continental U.S. and our good friends in Canada. Thank you, Gemsen, for allowing us to make that happen. So, who's here tonight? Somebody skipped out tonight. He's got a good reason for it. It's our boy Tim, the camera guy. So we have our camera set up, but we don't have a camera guy, so I'm going to have to make Ernie work for his money tonight because he can't get the cameras moved. I'm going to have to be the one moving, and he'll have to switch around. But with him out, we've got the camera set up, and it's going to be a good show. But JW is still on the road. He's coming back from the Jeep Week up in Ocean City. And so we have Sandy again joining us in the studio tonight. We got Ernie back there behind the scenes, and as always, Bill Frog is in the house. Hey, Bill, how you doing, man? So they are back there steering the controls on this gigantic ship, making sure things run right. If you have any comments, questions, please post those into the comment feed. Sandy's back there scrubbing the feed. She'll pick the ones that are appropriate. She'll throw them up on screen. And when we get into the show a little bit later with our guests, I'll sit down at my laptop, and of course, I can look at some of the comments and we'll pull stuff out. If you have any questions about Kicker product, what we're talking about tonight, a comment, or better yet, if you've got a great pick of an install done wrong, we'd love for you to send it our way so we can try to get it up here on the show. So with that said, I'm going through my housekeeping events, and wait, you know, Tim's not here, but Ernie, didn't he have a birthday last week?
Yeah, he skated on us. His birthday was last Wednesday, and he didn't say a word.
That's right, Tim's kind of a private guy, and he likes to keep things to himself, and he did not let any of us know that last Wednesday was his birthday, because had we known, he would have picked the dinner for Tuesday night, and we'd have gave him a little bit of a razzing on the show for it being his birthday. We don't have a big sombrero to put on Tim, even if he was here, but Ernie, I heard a rumor you got something a little bit better to help us celebrate Timmy's birthday. What do you got back there? Sure. Let's put that up on the screen. Holy moly, is that Tim?
That's him. I don't know.
That is, Man, he's got to be every bit of what, 16 to 18 in that picture? Wow, that's amazing. So that is awesome. Hey, Scott, Power Hog Audio, I see you on the feed out there. I hope all's well. All is very well. Good to see you in the chat tonight, as always. I love running into people in our own channel here that I get to see on other channels as well. You know, we all, as a community, tend to watch and interface on a lot of different levels and different shows because we all have this crazy enthusiast, hobbyist attitude about high-performance car audio. So good to see you in the feed, Scott. Look forward to seeing you in 12-volt talk, reverse polarity, side jag, or any of the hundreds of others that are out there. DIY audio guy, I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately. He does a lot of cool stuff. So shout out to those guys. You do a fantastic job, and I appreciate the content. It really makes it fun for all of us to get the different perspectives on how we look at different gear, build boxes, design systems. It's really fun. So thanks, Scott. I appreciate the shout out. So we've got Tim out of the way. We got the birthday. Ernie doesn't know about this. Before I get to this, quick shout out. Sandy, since she's the lady of the house tonight, she actually picked where we're going to dinner tonight. So I have to give a big thank you to Steve Irby and Jay Ralston and our boss, Kevin Campbell, who allows us to do this. And Sandy picked Texas Roadhouse. So I got to say thank you, Sandy. My filet was primo tonight, but that was Sandy's choice tonight. She always gets to pick when she's in the house. So thank you, Sandy, and thank you, management team here at Kicker, for allowing us to have a meal on you while we get all the studio set up and ready for tonight's show. We certainly appreciate that. But not last week's show. I think it was the week before. It's when John was on. And we all love Dr. 12-Volt, John Myers. I've been with John. He and I were actually hired the same time to come work for the company, and John is a dear friend of mine. But Ernie, if you would real quick, well, I don't want you to show it yet. Don't want to show it yet. So, John has this habit of using the phrase, you know. So he'll be talking about something and he'll just, you know, if you do, you know, and then the you know. And it's almost like that drinking game you play with college buddies that every time somebody says something, you take a shot. Well, I didn't know. I found this piece of paper laying back behind the studio, and apparently on that evening's show, Ernie and JW were keeping track of how many you knows John said during the show. Now, if you went back and looked at the whole show and did a count, you might come up with a more accurate number, but I'm going off the number that's on this piece of paper in front of me because it's actually, they kept a running tick, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. You started late? So when I saw this paper, I thought, you know what? This is a perfect time to just do something off the cuff. Ernie doesn't even know that we're going to do this. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to do this, and we'll let it run in the comment feed for, you know, about the next 5 to 10 minutes. We'll just see what's there, get them feed, and I'll secretly go back and I will pick a winner out of the feed, or I'll let Sandy do it if I'll tell her what the number is. But I want you to post into the comment feed how many you knows John said in the show, but it's not the whole show. You have to know the ones I've got on this piece of paper. It's like Ernie said, they were 30 minutes in before they started doing this counting. I thought it was hilarious. Shout out to John if you're watching tonight. Brother, we love you, but this is just going to be fun. So if you want to put in how many you knows John said in the show 2 weeks ago, we got a running total here. Throw it into the feed. We'll take a look at it, and we're going to pull some winners. And we pull those winners, I think we'll do some unmasked T-shirts. We may throw a few other prizes in there. You just don't know. This is an unannounced contest. So throw it into the feed. We'll keep track of it for about the next 5 minutes or so. I'll go back or hey, Ernie, send somebody out here to get the number from me, and then you'll let Sandy know, and she can pick our winners.
Well, we can go with one, and we can show them the note, too.
Oh, yeah, after. Well, we'll show the note after. Yes. After. Yes. So this is kind of a fun thing to do. So it's how many you knows do I have on paper here from John? Put your answer in the comment feed, and we're going to pull some winners, a couple winners, 2, 3, 4, well, whatever we feel like. We're just going to pull some winners out of that, but I think that's pretty fun. So I think that wraps up housekeeping for the evening. So Sandy, besides what I've seen in my peripheral vision here, do we have any comments or shout outs coming up on the screen that you want to put up here? Ooh, train. That's a high number. I'm just looking at the comments coming in. You know what? I'm just going to watch it. I start there. We'll see what we got here. I need a Bluetooth, Bob Walker, I need a Bluetooth headset. Bob, if you need a Bluetooth headset, enter the contest. because for the second and third place winners, we are giving away the EB300s, which is our Bluetooth earpiece. So enter the contest. The show, a lot of people, you know, there's a couple guys that come in, there's Deviant, there's 25 Hertz to Life. You know, they kept saying, oh, it's rigged, I never win, it's rigged. You know, El Fuego, he's kind of just chilling back there. We had Craft Chest. You know, Craft Chest, I gave him like the high score for troll winner. I mean, he just sat back there in the back, he won and just laid it out there. But it is rigged. I have to let you know that the contests are rigged. If we pull 25 Hertz to Life or Deviant, we just throw them back in the pool. We don't allow them to win. But other than that, everyone else is allowed to win in our contest. So it is rigged. So you got a better chance because two people, they're never going to win. Well, wait, Deviant won. I guess that's a lie. So everyone qualifies. It is rigged. It's rigged by the computer. It's random pulls on those. So guys, enter the contest. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking through some of the answers here. I know why you guys said some of the answers. Hey, Kip, and I think it was 67. There's Lane Craner. I'm going to pop that up real quick. Lane says, hey, Kip, and I think it was 67. It was not well, it's not the number I've got on paper. So it's not 67. I'm not going to say if it's higher or lower, but it's a pretty hefty number. I'm looking at the clock here. I'll watch it and count it down. I'm just looking at people chiming in. Tony Ramirez with $1.80. You know, Tony, that's not the number I've got on paper, but it's entirely possible if they'd have got the first 30 minutes of the show, that might be the right answer. Good guess there, man. That's awesome. 2269. I'm glad to see you haven't had to use your get out of jail free card yet. Jason, I keep that in my back pocket because you never know. You just never know when you're going to need that puppy. Brad McCracken, 97. Train says 100. RVH says 40H. The joy of thinking words, 5-star car stereo. What's up, Dean? How you doing, sir? I'm assuming that's you. You're usually the one signed in under that handle. But if Fernando's with you, tell him we say hello as well. And if you guys don't know, it'll be in the teaser. We're actually going to have Dean from 5-Star in the studio with us live next week. It's going to be a good time having Dean in the studio, so be sure you check that out. 25 Hertz to Life says 367. Wow, that's a big number. I don't think it's that high, but that is a big number. Got 99 problems. I ain't one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here real quick, I'm going to scroll back up a little bit. Okay, hold on. Kip, tell us about the new sound bar. Okay, Scott Waldrop. Kip, tell us about the new sound bar for golf carts. We do have two new, we call them power bars, fully extruded aluminum closures. They've been hand-tuned and developed here at Kicker. We think the small puppy has a 150-watt amplifier, comes with 2 4s, 2 tweets, and we've got the bigger model. It comes with 6 4s and 2 tweets, and it has a 300-watt amplifier. There's custom EQ curves on board. It comes with a remote control, but the remote control is not infrared, it's RF. It actually uses a form of Bluetooth LE. You charge it up, depending on how many button presses you use it, it'll last for up to about 6 months. When it's dead, you just unplug it, plug it into a micro USB, and you can charge the remote back up. So you don't have to, it's not line of sight, you don't have to point it at it. Plus, the cool part about them is they use what's called Bluetooth broadcast mode. So you can have one power bar on your vehicle, you could have another power bar on your vehicle, and they would be in sync together through Bluetooth power mode. And if you got a buddy with another power bar on his UTV or ATV, or even backed up next to, maybe you're at the lake and there's a boat close by it's got on there, you can actually broadcast this like a mini FM radio station, and multiple power bars can actually tune into that same signal. So one person with their iPhone or their Android phone or whatever media device they got plugged in through the aux or plugged in through Bluetooth, you can send that signal in and broadcast it to multiple units. They come with round mounting clamp options, so you can mount to the typical round bars, but we also include, in a separate pack you can purchase, but we make the 3 different sizes of square tube adapters, and if I remember my facts straight, I think it's 3/4 inch and 1 1/4. I could be wrong on that, so hit the website, but I'm pretty sure that's the 3 sizes on that. But it's an accessory pack you can add, so if you're dealing with a golf car like this one here to my left, and I only point at this because we actually just shot a video with John Myers showing the installation of a power bar on this exact golf car. It'll be in our YouTube feed if it's not there already, so go check it out. These products have initially shipped. We do have some out in our dealer base. There's none currently on the website because here at Kicker we're sold out, but we do have more coming in, and as a company we're doing everything in our power to deal with the global logistics and supply, I'm going to use the word dumpster fire because that's what it is, in trying to get things in and out. So we're constantly working and doing the best we can to get products in-house and out to our dealers. Just because you don't see it on the Kicker website does not mean it's not in a Kicker dealer. So always hit the dealer locator, find a dealer in your area. If you prefer to shop online, find an online authorized kicker dealer and see if they have them in stock. But those have been pushed out. The initial shipment went out to dealers. A response has been phenomenal. They love them. UTV Stereo, those guys say it's the best sounding power bar, sound bar product that they've used in any of their applications. So fantastic product. Go check it out. Going up here, it's rigged for me. That's right, it is rigged for you, Craft Chest, completely rigged. So I see Michael. Hey, Sandy, can you write these names down for me? Did she say yes? Perfect. Michael Robison, you said 100. I'm going to call you a winner. Let's write down Michael as a winner. Let's go. I'm going to go on up. I'm looking at what's here in the feed. I'm going to call. Man, there's so many others that were closer, so it's making it difficult. See, I know there was some closer. Impromptu contest. Let's just scroll through here. 180. No, not 180. Train, write down Train. I don't know, I should know, but I don't know. Train, he said 100. Write Train down. And I'm looking here. We got Michael. Oh, I'm in. Nope, too far off, too far off, too far off, too far off. I'm looking through. He's working a lot. He always said they look. Hey, da 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 da. Okay, I'm looking. Okay, write down Anthony Aho. I'm just looking through here, guys. Write down Justin Binnicker. Write down Notorious RVH. Write down Marcus Nance. And write down Aura's, O-R-A, apostrophe S, Madness. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going crazy tonight. Hey, Matt, how are you doing, sir? Good to know that. And write down Brandon Johnson, and I'm going to pull the plug there. Wait, one more. Irvin Gingerich. E-R-V-I-N-G-I-N-G-E-R-I-C-H. Okay, I'm pulling the plug on it. I just went through and randomly pulled some out so that you guys know. Hey, Ernie, I'm going to put this over on cam, close-up cam in front of the key lock. If you want to pull it up there. So the answer, there you can see the John you knows. And they, as you can see, they just took hashtags and kept track of them. And the answer that they had was 103. So John had 103 you knows 30 minutes into the show, and they started keeping track. So that was just something fun I thought we could do tonight, is give away some unmasked shirts, and who knows what else. We might include a koozie with that. It's whatever Sandy kind of feels like throwing into the gift bag. So you got to be nice to Sandy, because she's the one who's going to pick what you're going to get besides the shirt. You got all that, Sandy? Yay, awesome. So with that said, that kind of takes care of housekeeping, takes care of contest, takes care of the yos. If you give a shout out, if Tim is in your social feed, definitely give a shout out to Mr. Tim Smith. Let him know a belated happy birthday. He tried to hide us from it, so we got to rub it in, let him know that we know it was his birthday, and wish him a good one on that. So with that said, looking up at the clock, you got about a little over 36 minutes, it looks like, to enter the nightly contest. So if you're new, go hit kicker.com/UMweekly. And if you're old school at this, you've already entered the contest. I don't need to tell you anything. But with that said, I would love to bring in our guest tonight. Let's roll in the first one. That'd be the one and the only, the master of amplifier dynos, Mr. Derek Williston, Big D from Williston Audio Labs. How you doing tonight, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here.
Man,
Thanks for having me, Kip.
You. Oh, it's always a pleasure. I really don't want to. I feel like if I had you guys on all the time, I would just burn you out. But I like having you guys on, so hopefully I'm reaching the right balance of having you guys on the show and not burning you out too much.
Yes, sir. We enjoy it, especially a topic like tonight, because this one's going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be a blast. And do you have anything you want to show?
Sure, I've got a few.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I can't claim they were mine, or I can't
they don't have
claim
to be.
They're not mine, but
That's
see.
Perfect. That's perfect. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a show pointing out bad installs and appropriately making fun of them in the right way, unless we also included the myth, the legend, the guy who had so many shows he actually backed out of some so he could have a life, and that would be your boy, Mr. Robert Hi-Fi Vegas. Sir, how are you doing this evening? Come join us on screen.
Doing good. How are y'all doing?
We are doing fantastic. You know, obviously, you know, you've been here, so you know how we do it in the studio. So, you know, we've got a beer and fourth meal planned a little bit later.
Oh, there you go. Are you doing the you-knows on purpose?
No, you know, the thing is, what's funny about it is John Myers is just known for saying that. And it wasn't meant to be any other poke at anyone else, but like I said, I came back from vacation and I saw this paper and it was just laying back in the studio on the tablet, and I looked at it and said, John, you know, and I just busted up laughing. As soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. And so Ernie and JW, they told me about it. I was like, you know, we just need to do a quick contest based around that. I mean, that'd be something fun.
Gotta
so
do
I did.
it. Gotta do it.
Yeah, it's
So
hard not to have those filler words. I mean, it's really something you just don't even realize you do, and I'm sure we all kind of do it a little bit. But Kip, you don't do it very much that I've noticed.
I try not to. I've got a tip jar at home that, you know, is stocked fairly well. So there's enough in there that if I need to spend it, I can, but there's not so much in there that, you know, so it's a balance. It's a balance. So with that said, I know Ernie, actually got some here on my laptop, but I think I'm going to start off with Ernie. And understand, guys, we just went out. Some of these are from, and they couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but I actually reached out to Chris Vieira and Roger Lockridge, and they are the guys who they were on a show with us a month or so back. They actually are in that Best Buy store in Destin, Florida, and they do some fantastic work down there. And I reached out to them, and unfortunately, they could not be on the show tonight, but they did share some photos with me of actual installs that they've dealt with. So we'll get the chance, we'll look at a few of those and see what they've sent us. And we're going to have those guys on another show here in the future, so that'll be fun too. So I don't know what Ernie's got, but let's start with him. Ernie, bring up our first picture, and guys, understand, if this is your install, if you know this is your install we're showing, we're sorry. We're not trying to poke at you per se, but we're just looking at these installs and going, oh, there's a humor to it, obviously. And then we really want to just analyze it real quick and go, okay, what was the actual goal and what should have been done in this case to actually get something that works well, looks well, and is safe? So I guess that's kind of that. Other than that, there's no other rules on the table. We're just going to do that. So if it's your install, we apologize in advance, but don't have it installed that bad. So
we could have just pulled up some of my old videos.
So what have we got going on here? I don't even know what to call that.
What is
that? I think that's a battery charger, right? And an amplifier just kind of laying sideways?
It might be. It certainly doesn't qualify for safely mounted, nor does it get any marks for the Clean Wire Club.
And that looks like a factory amp.
It's a frunk, too, because see the windshield wiper? It's the front of the car?
Say that 3 times fast.
No.
The frunk? Oh, here we go.
Yes.
You know, as I was looking through pictures today, I've got to admit, I came across a lot of pictures that there's kicker gear in them. Of course, there's other gear too. It's just, I was like, oh, do I really want to show this? It's not about the gear, it's about the install. So we've picked some that actually there's kicker gear involved, but I don't think that's a very good looking install. Do you?
Need to watch some of Dean's videos. You know, I think these fall into 2 different categories. One would be kind of the beginner and something that a lot of us have done. The other one would be just plain out dangerous. So maybe we should kind of note the 2 so that people understand which one they can kind of do and get by with versus the ones they don't really need to do.
Well, Ernie, just leave it where you got, Ernie. Back up to the previous picture you just had. Just back up one slide. So on this one here, I can't really tell looking at the picture that there's anything that looks unsafe, at least not from what I can see. But I can, you know, the amps are mounted, so you don't have to worry about them sliding around and pulling and tugging on the wires, which is a good thing. That picture that was in previously, that's just unsafe for that amplifier to be mounted that way, because as you're doing cornering, braking, if you're in a car accident, anything like that, that just becomes a moving projectile. It can tug on those wires, it could pull them free. You could then end up with a situation where your power and ground wires are shorted together, and if you happen to be a member of what I like to lovingly call the Team No Fuse Club, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, Kip, you know, the pool noodles are on sale right now. So if you want to mount your amp like this, go ahead and wrap some pool noodles around it and you'll be okay.
You know, pool noodles are great for shipping an amplifier. They make great packing to go inside a box. I learned that actually online from some other person's feed who was talking about it, and I looked at it and said, that's a genius idea. So this one here, this picture, this would fall in my category. I would call this an unsafe install. And the reason being is you do not want to use a twist wire connector like this in the automotive environment. They are great for connecting wire in a fixed installation like a house or in a business or something like that, where you're not having the wires constantly subjected to vibration. But in a case like this, you're just asking for one of those things to pop off and cause an exposed wire, and then whatever it touches, you just don't know what's going to happen.
That's what I like to call the electrician's special there.
Yeah,
the guy who done this is definitely an electrician.
On top of that, that's what I was wondering, you know, how many friends who are electricians that help other friends with their car stereo installs just don't know any better, because that's what they use, you know, on the daily. And in this case, you know, the car is subject to a lot of vibration because that's just the nature of the beast, and maybe they just don't realize it. So that could be. And the other thing is, when you go to the store, like you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you're looking for wiring accessories. They have wire nuts sitting right there beside of all the other connectors, and they don't really say not for car.
You make a very valid point there, and that's entirely possible for that. So understand, guys, we may poke and have some fun at this, but we're actually going to try to take the serious side and show you. So in a case like this, I mean, there's several things you can choose to do. You could use butt connectors, crimp caps. Using a proper crimping tool would be better than what you see here. You could solder and heat shrink, or solder and tape, and that would be better than what you see going on here. This is just not safe for any type of long term in a car.
Well, they're meant for solid core as well, because they kind of, if you use them in a house, you see how they kind of thread themselves on, and they'll stay put.
They do, and the thing with stranded wire, even in a home, because a lot of times when you mount a lighting fixture, it's got stranded wire, but you're going to that solid 14 or 12 gauge wire that's in the house. If you twist that connector down too tight, you'll actually break that stranded copper apart. It'll stay on the solid, but it'll actually break the stranded copper. So you have to be careful even in a home when you're connecting that stranded wire to solid copper, like on a light fixture, which is the most common place that I can say that I see that happen.
Yeah, the bad thing about this, Kip, is these are easy, right? So somebody who's trying to do a quick install, they're just trying to cover the wires up. The wire nuts are the easiest way to do it. So if you're lazy, don't be.
I'm going to tell you, let's pretend that this was someone who was either didn't know, they were in a hurry, or they were lazy, whatever it might be. This is the one piece of advice I can tell you. This install right here, if you would simply have bared each wire back and then done a lineman splice on that, which is where you take the two wires around each other, they twist around each other, and you wrap, and then just put a piece of good electrical tape around it, that would be more secure and safer than this right here. Ernie, move us along. Whoa, whoa!
Oh, nice. Right under the ball joint.
That's not safe. That's not safe at all.
Well, and if they're also a member of Team No Fuse, and that apparently is a power wire, and it's going right along the body of the frame and a lot of metal components, I'm sure that will be a shocking experience and possibly a car fire.
Absolutely, and the thing on this, just so it's okay if you, and in some cases it's actually easier if you leave or exit the vehicle at the back and have to run underneath the vehicle to get to the front. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but you have to make sure you're routing that wire away from all moving parts. You have to make sure you're keeping it away from anything that creates heat. And last but not least, you've got to cover it in some kind of a loom or braiding. And I don't mean snake skin or flex. You need to use something a lot stronger, like a Smurf tube or something like that. You want to protect that wire in that environment. There's just so many ways in this installation where you could rub and chafe that wire. It goes straight to ground. It could get cut. It could get pinched. And in this situation here, depending on what kind of off-roading you're doing while you're driving, you might actually catch it on something and rip it out of your car.
Maybe it'll disconnect it from the battery. That's the, I think that's the safety feature they had, because it's pulled taut right there. So
that's hilarious. It's entirely possible that's the case. But the lesson here is, it's not that you can't run your wire under your car, but you got to run it safely. You got to route it properly, and you got to put it in some kind of protective covering or conduit. You just have to do that, guys. That's
so
funny.
He could be throwing sparks without even like dipping the back end. Maybe.
Puts a new spin to ground wire. It does do that, 25. Yeah, Smurf tube, Deviant, that's exactly Smurf tube, just the blue Smurf tube. That stuff works great if you're going to run that wire underneath your car. So good one on that. Except the end routed through the strut tower grommet. Oh my Lord.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not the stuff you want to do. Where do you want to start on how wrong this is?
I don't even know what they're trying to do here. So they stripped it back and they're trying to splice in. That's what it looks like, right?
You can't, and there's a way to do this. I don't know what the official name for it is, but I was taught how to do this back when I was probably 18 or 19. That if you wanted to tap into a high current wire in an automobile, and where I learned it was with security systems and remote starts, is instead of breaking the primary wire, you could just cut back a section, get back about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, pull the insulation back, and then you could open up the stranding, and then you feed your smaller wire through, and then do a lineman's circular wrap around that and pull it tight. And then, but even when I did that, it always got soldered. You always drop a little bit of solder on there to keep that thing solid and tight, and then either heat shrink, or in this case I'd use just good electrical tape, but that's not a very good connection. You have anything to add to that?
I'm more impressed with the photo itself, like the detail of
they got
the
some nice
closeness
bokeh going
and
on.
the bokeh in the background. I mean, from a photographer aspect, that's a really good picture.
I will say it was a pro move. Like most people who were doing this show on fails would bring in someone that would actually fix them, but instead you brought in two guys that create fails.
That's the thing about this is, and this is what I can tell you guys, understand that everyone starts off at some base level of not knowing the right way to do it, not knowing the right parts, the right tools. Everybody does, myself included. I wish I could go back in time and could bring forward pictures back then. Of course, pictures from them would be a Kodak instant picture or out of a Kodak 110 camera for me. But, we all learn somewhere. So hopefully, while we're having a good time looking at these, you might actually get some real wisdom and knowledge out of this so you can do your job better. This one has got,
steering column, nice. Why not do it right to the steering column? It's fine.
Well, at least it keeps it from your feet, right?
Yeah.
As long as you have enough slack as you're twisting.
Sorry.
They didn't even flush trim the zip tie. We're dealing with amateurs
That's not
here.
safe.
That way you can know where the wire is, right?
Yeah.
You at least got to flush trim those things so you don't cut yourself or get a nick on your leg as you're driving.
Well, if you use cheap side cutters, then it's going to cut you when you try to flush trim it. So maybe they didn't.
So that was actually
end
up being a pro move, and
exactly. So
right.
You guys have to look at the glass half full kind of approach here.
I'm looking at the glass half full just like Bruce Rudder is. He says, these pictures are making my install look better and better. And that's what we're trying to do. If you feel better at the end of this show, then you're on the right side of doing your install, not the wrong side. Loose zip tie new spins.
Oh, no. This looks like Derek's 37 right now.
It does.
Or when you first got, not right now, but when you first got it.
That's right. You have to go back and watch the old video of when I pulled everything out. It was not much different than this, but my favorite part of this has got to be the light switch. The 110 light switch on the right.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even...
These first pictures are ones that Ernie and Bill put together. I have no idea what they are. I'm getting a laugh out of them as they're getting shown on the screen because these are just mighty nice, Clark. Mighty nice.
Now, somebody in the chat is probably good enough to know what vehicle this is based on that little part of the dash. I would be interested to know, but it's probably 50s or 60s maybe.
Yeah, I'd be with you on that. I don't know what it is though, but I would guess a year. You're correct.
So hey, at least they're upgrading to a CD. So
there you go. What kind of ground? That's a ground right there.
This is better than some of the grounds I've seen where they simply take the wire and they just wrap it around something and just let it kind of through osmosis try to get a ground. At least this looks like it's clamped.
And the tool has, some plastic coverings over it, so it's not a solid attachment all the way.
Did they wire brush that bolt at the very least?
I can't tell from the photo. It looks to me like it's not wire brushed properly, so we have to deduct points for that.
For sure.
But
is that a battery right next to it? There's some kind of plastic. No, it's some kind of plastic something.
It looks like there might be some. Oh, that is. It's RCA's there to the left. I was looking. Yeah, I was wondering what that was over in the left corner there.
And a bunch of dog hair.
And this must be a new grounding method that I'm not familiar with. Maybe this is used for rental cars. It's just a temporary install.
That's that Mike Schultz special. That's how he does when he rents a van and just throws the system in there.
Can somebody tell me where that location is? Is that on the inside of where the door is,
That's
or
a
the hatch?
seat.
Or?
That's a seat.
Oh,
That's a back seat bracket.
Back seat. Okay.
Now I can't
Yeah,
tell you the
that's-
car, but that's a back seat bracket.
That's not a good grounding location at all. Even with the wrench.
Bobby B says, "Wow, there for a moment I thought we were looking at Deviant's Instagram and Facebook page of his installs."
Sick burn.
Hey, it's a
Sick
good
burn,
thing you
bud.
guys in the chat feed are kind of friends. I mean, with friends like this, who needs enemies? That one that was back there, you know, with the zip ties under the steering wheel, I wonder if you spin the wheel fast enough if it sounds like your bicycle with the playing card in the spokes.
Yeah. Just,
Well, the
For
other
a
thing
minute.
about this picture too is notice that the end of the wrench is a holding location for the speaker wire, right?
yeah.
It is.
So it serves dual purposes here.
This guy was wanting to put in a drip loop.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. Oh no. This
What's
is
holding
just-
that in? I don't see the
I
screws.
I don't see a screw to save my life there.
Maybe it's double-sided tape.
Maybe there's one in that top left corner. Maybe because it's a little dark there. Maybe I don't see one in the right. That's crazy.
There is a zip tie up there on the right.
I see that.
oh,
That's
nice.
through the door. Oh, there's
That's
more
the
to this picture
wiring.
that I didn't see. That's nice. The speaker wire.
That
I mean,
is
why would you run it
classic.
through the boot and the door jamb? I mean, who would do that when you could just zip tie it right there?
Just zip tie it, you know, and it's not going to get pinched or anything. You're good. Just leave it hang there.
Yeah. Well, if you use CCA, it's more flexible. It's
Well, you would know. I mean, you're
Right.
the king of CCA, right?
well, that's why I had to chime in.
That is awesome. You know, in this one here, it's hard that there's a lot of stuff here going wrong. First off, the wire shouldn't be zip tied like that in the door. You really should work it through the rubber grommet or rubber boot if you're going to run new wire into the door. If you can't run new, you know, in a lot of newer cars today, the way the doors are put together is the door actually plugs into the body through a connector. So there's actually a female on the body of the car and a male connector plugs in. And unless you disassemble that and you find some empty pins and maybe even drill them out, it's hard to run wire in a lot of newer cars. That's why in a lot of cases, you'll see we run wire up to the door and then simply tap into the wire that's going into the door. But in this case, it looks like it's you could have probably got through the boot there. The speaker's not mounted properly. And the thing about mounting a speaker, if you don't mount a speaker so that it's properly sealed, back wave from front wave, it can actually work in a quote-unquote free air or open air environment like a door speaker is designed to do, you're not going to get any performance out of that speaker. I mean, that's what's going wrong here, besides laughing at it. I mean, that's the real problem.
I could look at that picture and I guarantee you there's a set of bullet tweets just sitting up on the dash.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that. Completely.
Well,
All right,
the
Ernie,
other
moves
part-
along to the next one. Whoa.
Oh, I was going to just say the other part that was concerning is, you know, we didn't even line up the logo like we
Oh,
could have
messing
at
with your
least.
OCD.
I don't have OCD, but I know these guys in the chat do, and they're probably freaking out that
Yeah.
you have to turn your head sideways to see audio pipe.
You know,
Sorry, go
RGA,
ahead
he
to the
says,
next one.
wonder if the window rolls all the way down.
Probably
Who
not.
knows?
Probably not. And, you know, Jason THF Miller, I'm on the page with you. I bet Stripcock was involved in holding that speaker in that door. I agree with you on that 100%. That's a fancy, here, Basehead 30 said it. He beat my own words to it. That's a fancy presser-fitted install. I agree. That's hilarious.
Oh, tap into the tinsel leads. Nice.
This here is just, well, first off, this is not a reliable connection at all. Let's all agree to that. But secondly, these wires are wrapped around the tinsel leads that go to the speaker. So you are literally restricting the movement of the driver to the point that you could actually rip the tinsel leads right off of the cone / voice coil. I mean, it's not safe. It's not insulated. If this is installed in a car door, those could that exposed wire could be up against the metal of the car frame and cause a dead short for your amplifier. And
And why are they
obviously it's
doing that with a factory speaker? Yeah, it's a factory
Yeah.
speaker. They're putting it in another vehicle, I guess.
Yeah, they're just reusing what they had apparently, because it looks to me like, worst case scenario, if you were going to do this,
Cut the plug off the other side.
you could cut the plug off the other side, number one. You could actually buy the harness that plugs into this factory speaker that comes out to bare wires, so that'd be really the right way to do it. You could always put some female spade connectors. It looks to me like you could actually plug female spades directly into that factory connector, which would be probably what I would do in a pinch. And then if you're in a hurry and you had it, I can look at that. See, I could drop some solder in there on both sides, and I could solder a wire to both those terminals and come out with a pigtail. There's a lot of other ways to address this. You don't have to spend the big money and buy the adapter plug. That's what I would prefer to do. But there's other ways you could address this and not do what you've got going on here. But thank you for doing it, whoever's installed this is, because it gives us the opportunity to look at it.
When you get to this point, when you get this, if this is the system you need, I have an option for you. If you look right over here, just buy one of these and put it in your car, and don't even mess with anything else.
You took that on vacation, and apparently you had a good time with it.
Oh yeah, man. A review's coming. The 100 and the 400, I've been beating them to death. They got sand everywhere.
Yeah, I actually used the 400. I think I talked about it before, Kip, as a sound bar when I went to the beach. I hooked it up to the TV in the place we stayed, and it worked phenomenally as a sound bar.
When we've been down, a lot of us get to, before last year, a lot of us get to travel and do things, and there was actually a time when there were several of us that stayed at an Airbnb at an event we were at, and it was a nice Airbnb, but it was just TVs with no audio, and fortunately a couple of us had actually taken bullfrogs with us, and we did the same thing you're talking about. We just took the bullfrog and hooked it up to the TV as a sound bar, and it sounded great.
Yeah, we're planning I want to do an outdoor movie screen, and I'm going to pair two of these dudes up and see what it does. I think that'd be good for outside.
John D., you could just set it on fire and start over.
There's always that.
There's always that. This here, obviously, someone was attempting to mount a tweeter. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to mount this tweeter into the sail panel on the car door. Looks like maybe not the right tool to cut the hole. Looks like maybe some CA glue. It kind of has that CA glue look there, because CA kind of turned ABS and things that little funky white color. It's not a great looking install. It doesn't look like it's very safe. It may or may not sound good because a tweeter doesn't need to have there's nothing on the back of a tweeter you have to seal off. I mean, it's in its own tune chamber. It's way off axis in the install.
It's pointing way down. It's pointing at your feet. So
yeah, way down. And it would be unfair for me to say it sounds bad because I don't know what the off-axis or on-axis response of that tweeter is. It may sound great there. I don't know, but it certainly doesn't come across as a properly done install at all. You definitely, in most cases, you want to get that tweeter so that it's more on-axis to your actual ears, not pointing down at your feet.
And I think that's in a flush mount. I think it's a flush mount. They could have took it out of the flush mount and probably took the factory tweeter out and put that behind it.
If Dean's in the feed or if Dean was here, he would probably be saying the exact same thing to you because I've seen Dean do that. Obviously, he has the tools to actually make his own brackets and do lots of more advanced stuff, but Dean is the king of putting aftermarket tweeters into the stock locations, and it looks stock, but it's an upgraded tweeter.
Yep.
So, move along, Ernie.
Wait, what is this? Oh, they need some space They needed some space.
He says it's a window frame that's been shimmed with. Okay. Okay. Did you get what Ernie just said? He said
they needed room for the speaker to fit, right?
They needed room for the speaker, so they unbolted the window frame, shimmed it out with 3 pieces of MDF to push the window frame back further into the door so that the speaker would fit in the car.
They sound dead in the door, though.
They did a good job of that, it looks like. Moving that window track back, as long as the window rolls up or down, or you don't care if the window rolls up and down, I guess you could do that and get away with it. The one thing I would say here is if you were really going to go this route, don't use MDF in your car door. You get more water inside your car door than a pool gets. I mean, all that water leaks inside your door. That's why there's that rain screen cover. If you take your door panel off your car, it's covered with that to keep as much of that moisture out of the car. You don't want to use MDF in this situation. Now, if you wanted to do this, fab something up out of plastic, fab something up out of metal. Just don't do it this way. It might be functional for what you want, but man, don't use MDF.
Just build it outwards.
I really want to see the rest of that install and see what the speaker looked like, because that's very intriguing. I never have seen somebody do something like that.
I have here, like Sean Mullen just chimed in. He says, to their credit, side glass is very flexible. So it's entirely possible they could have shimmed this track back and the windows still work. It is possible.
Well, as we've
just
seen
kind
in
of
a lot of
nasty.
bass videos, it's flexible until it's not.
It wouldn't be custom unless you do it. All right, Ernie, let's move along. Oh, here's a dumpster fire, literally.
Yeah, that's a fire. Nice.
Yeah, this would fall under the category of not safe.
Yeah, there's nothing here that's safe at all. I don't know how it was installed originally, but that looks like it's a Bosch relay or an 30, 87, 87A type relay up there at the top. The wires that come out are hot, fire. If you get into a situation like this, what I'm wondering is whatever that relay was powering, looking at these connections, if those were poor connections, if they weren't soldered or if they weren't crimped or done properly, that creates a lot of resistance to current flow, and that causes heat to cause what you see here. You can get into, obviously, that's what this is some type of runaway failure. Guys, tight, secure connections on power and ground and using the right gauge wire are very, very important. Here's an example why. I don't want to ever come across like I'm selling by fear, but I've seen plenty of cars that have burned to the ground or had damage inside of them that got stopped before it got along too far from miswiring. Love to look at it, love to poke fun at it, but when it comes to wiring, especially in a car, it's not a joke. You want to make sure that you're safe on your power and grounds because this and worse will definitely happen.
It looks like the fuse melted and it didn't even blow. Or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Robert, because I think that is a fuse holder there in the foreground, that white thing. But, I mean, obviously the wire coming out of it is completely toast.
Yeah. Yeah, Team No, a win for Team No's fuse because it didn't work.
That might even be off to the left there. I'm wondering if that is either a reversing door lock module, a 5-wire door lock module, or a power window module is what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
And if it's a power window module or a reversing door lock module, those things, they throw heavy current. Oh, yes. Ernie, that's a good one. That's, we've got the bucket from your local home improvement store probably, although it could be the pickle bucket from your local restaurant. And they just slap the subwoofer in on top and use a little bit of 80-mile-an-hour tape to secure that puppy down. What's crazy about that is I'm gonna make fun of it and laugh, but in my days as an installer, and this goes back 35 plus years, I have seen this done. Guys come in with their subwoofers installed like this, but the craziest one I ever experienced was a guy come in and I was selling Kicker at the time at the store I was at, and we were selling the original Solo Barracks. And the whole gig with the original Solo Barrack is it literally would work in about the same size box that the speaker shipped in, so the cardboard box that you got it in. And I had customers come back and they would say, yeah, it sounds good, but blah, blah, blah. And I'd go out and they had taken the woofer out of the cardboard box, sealed the cardboard box shut back up with tape, cut a hole in the top of the cardboard box and put the speaker in the cardboard box, and that was the speaker enclosure. Ironically, some of them didn't sound too bad, but when you got a cardboard box flexing, you lose a lot of your bass energy that you should be getting.
Yeah, that one, these fall under the category of you shouldn't do it, but you can to get by, and it's going to flex the bucket a lot unless you really reinforce it. But, this is not one of the things that's not safe as long as you have the bucket mounted in some way.
Yeah.
I'm not even mad at them. That looked like the bazooka prototype there.
It might be. The what? What's the bonus in the background? Oh, there is a different woofer in another bucket. So you got the two for special
with the tape
going
around
on.
it too. Yeah, it looks like the duct tape helping seal the that Sony Explode woofer there in the back.
Something here was obviously on that picture a few back, but Brian says, but it was fused, so I guess it was safe. And then, of course, Craft Chest, and I agree with him on this. He said, and the green corrosion means that draw never ended. It probably didn't. It probably sat there, and whatever it was doing, it was a heating element for quite a while. So let's move on along. I guess these here are just, don't necessarily recommend this, but I guess in a pinch, a plastic bucket can give you that special characteristic to your sound that you're looking for. It will definitely... The Darwin Award? Oh.
Oof.
What's wrong here is everything. Guys, what's funny about this, and I know especially with as many amplifiers as you deal with on a daily basis for your dyno videos, and with the installs that you do on your own stuff there, Robert, I've learned, and I'm almost ashamed to say that I really wasn't aware of ferrules until probably a year or so back. But this is a case where I am a ferrule convert. Once you learn what a wire ferrule is, which is just a thin piece of copper that's tin plated, it's a tube, and it's flared on one end so you can easily get all those strands of copper wire you're dealing with into the ferrule. And they make these ferrules in all different sizes. I mean, we've got a box of them over here in the studio. We use it for all the setups we do here in the studio. But what's cool about a ferrule is once you put the ferrule on and you put it into the amp or the distribution block or wherever, and you tighten it down, you can undo that connection and pull it out, and the ferrule now stays part of the wire, and you can plug and unplug that thing many times using that same ferrule, and your wires do not get all frayed out and cause problems. And that's what you go on here is they tried to cram all those wires into that connector. It may have been too big a wire or too small a connector, either way, but you're not getting all the current into the amplifier, number one, and that's just a fire waiting to happen if they're part of Team No Fuse.
Right. It's blowing your amp instantly.
Yeah, anytime the connections on the amp are that close and they're open like that, you definitely want to use a ferrule. You don't want any of the wires to be extruding outside.
Are these not the...
No.
This looks like a Rockford Fosgate amp to me, and they have the pinch. They're just using too big of a wire. Because if they would have used 8 gauge...
Yep, it would have pushed in.
And you don't even need a ferrule because they have flat bars inside of there.
Right.
Owner says he does not know why the fuse keeps blowing.
Exactly, yeah. That's for sure.
That's a good one, SJC Audio. That's funny. That's a great comment about that. But yeah, guys, you don't do this. And honestly, if I could do anything and share any wisdom to you that I have come across in the last year or so, is ferrules are your friend. You can buy them at any store that deals in electrical supplies. If you're like me, you're just going to hit Amazon.com. You can buy whatever size you want. They sell kits. You can get a variety of sizes and have them in. They're not that expensive. I'm a convert. I use ferrules on absolutely everything, and this is a case where ferrules are your friend in a case like this. Can't recommend them enough.
And if you need bigger wire, do the Derek trick and just run 1/0 to a distribution block, and then your 8 gauge out at 3 or 6 inches.
Very true. Jason chimes in here, heat shrink. Yeah, even with a ferrule, I like putting heat shrink on the end of the ferrule back onto the insulation of the wire because then that completely covers that end up. But you bring up an interesting thing there, Robert, and I want to address that for just a second, is that, if you run a 1/0 wire all the way from your battery location to where you're going to distribute power to your amplifiers, 8 gauge wire in a short length will carry a lot more current than it will over a 17 or 20 foot length. So you might have an amplifier that is plumbed for 4 gauge, but if you've got 1/0 running to the back and it's a solid connection, you can probably run that 2 to 3 foot distance out of your distribution block with 8 gauge, and that amp's going to perform just fine because you're not asking that 8 gauge to carry 100 amps over 17 feet. You're asking that 8 gauge to carry 100 amps over 2 to 3 feet, and all wire, doesn't matter what size or gauge, as you shrink the wire down in length, it will carry more current safely for its size. So that's a very good comment that you made, and I wanted to just point that out. That's a great idea.
And it's the perfect way to upgrade in the future too. If if you want to upgrade, then you don't have to rerun your power wire either. So having the 1/0, and then you have the ability anytime to add more.
Absolutely. And real quick, I just glanced up at the clock. If you're new to the show and you don't know what we do here at night, you've got about 2 minutes left. We do our nightly drawing here on the Unmasked Live Weekly event. It ends at 8:30. You got about 2 minutes. That's kicker.com/UM Weekly. So if you're just now tuning in or you're new to the show and don't know how it goes, go hit that link right now. Don't miss your chance. And then we'll tell you about the other contest at the end of the show. Ernie, show us the next picture. I saw this one earlier and I didn't grab it. This is great.
Wait, what's all going on in here?
Yeah, I need some explaining here.
Lucy, I need some explaining.
Are those lamp parts?
Yeah,
is that like lamp parts or is that sinks? Because I can't tell.
When I saw this at first, I didn't think sink, but you may be on the path there. At first, I thought it was like an outdoor ceramic planter being held up by a 2x4 stand, but I'm thinking you're right. That could be a sink.
And they're ported, so... I wonder what those are tuned to.
I'm sure they're properly tuned too,
yeah,
Robert.
Well, look like it. Cannot play below 40 hertz.
It's the new Kohler Sync sub with tuned port performance. And as Ernie pointed out, they're part of Team No Fuse because I don't see any fuse happening on that battery at all.
No, but it's an X-side battery, so yeah, I'm an X-side guy.
This photo wants me to bring this up. everyone out there, if you're doing bigger systems, it's not uncommon, and I recommend it. You're probably going to have another battery in the back of the car. It's not uncommon. But always, always, always remember this. You need to put a fuse at the front of the car for that run of whatever size wire you're running to the back, and then you need to have another fuse at the back of the car before it goes into that battery, and keep those fuses. Kind of the rule of thumb is 18 inches, but there's no such thing as too close. The closer you can get it to the battery, the better. Hey, there's a random plug. If you're looking at the KICKER marine power fuses, they actually mount right to the battery. You don't get any closer than that. But you want to fuse front and back, because if that wire gets damaged anywhere between front and back and you've only fused one end, you still have a battery hanging out there. It's going to dump current into the car and cause a problem. So just remember, when you're doing a multi-battery setup like this, I mean, that besides everything else that's going on in this photo, always fuse front and rear when you're doing a multi-battery setup. Always.
Well, people forget that you're protecting the wire, not just your amp. In the back, when
Correct.
you go to your amp, yes, at that point you're protecting your amp. But up front, you're protecting the wire, so you don't have to fuse. If your amp says it's 150 amps, you can fuse 300 if you're using 1/0 cable. So
Sure, absolutely. At that point, if your amp's fused at that and you fuse it a lot higher, just understand that you're running the risk of the amplifier circuit board itself becoming the fusible link. And if you get into, if you're running really low impedance loads, or if you're pulling a lot of current through that circuit board and you've got way too big of a fuse, it's going to be the weakest link that fails. And that's really what a fuse is. A fuse is the weakest link to fail so that we don't cause damage or have a fire. So just keep that in mind if you go oversized on fuses. That now
I was
your amp
talking
is the
about
fuse.
to the battery.
Yes.
I always fuse to the battery and then I fuse to the amps.
Very, very good idea. All right, Ernie, we've had enough of the planter boxes. Oh, this is really good. And this
Better
is
than a bullet.
Brad Meek, I just put Brad Meek's comment up, Team No Fuse, and then Ernie hits us with this picture. It just no more appropriate. I'm ashamed to admit I have done this before, but when I did this, I was actually at the beach, and there were no fuses, and it was after hours, and I couldn't get the car to start, and so I actually used a bunch of pennies, nickels, or dimes, I can't remember what, but I actually did this exact trick. But it was only to get me to where I could get a fuse and put it back in. So I guess you could call this an emergency situation. The only problem is, unless you know why the fuse blew to begin with, you might be creating a fire hazard.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern there, Kip, is why did the fuse blow? And if you don't have one that's smaller or the same size or even just slightly bigger, even though that's a problem too, but doing stuff like this, you're definitely risking it. If it blew because there's a short and you put something like this in, then yeah, it's going to go back the other way and cause all kind of problems. That's the best comment of the night.
Hey, if we don't have Train down for a t-shirt, write him down. He just won one. That was awesome. Brian Park, he says, I had a friend that had the remote wire ground out in the trunk during an install, and it burned all the way back to the radio and burned small holes in the carpet and made the car smell so bad. Yeah, Brian, I said, like we said in the beginning, we're not trying to sell by fear here. We're really not. I mean, we're trying to have some fun. We're looking at stuff that we all can make fun of because we know better now. But we really also want to look at the safety of this and how to do it right. And this is not safe. Derek chimed in and wrote on too. You don't know why that fuse blew to begin with, so this could be causing you more heartache than you know, because if there's a shorted wire or broken wire or whatever down the food chain, you've just made that become an extreme hazard because those pennies aren't going to burn out before whatever's at the other end does.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the heater and the AC.
That's what I was thinking.
Roll
too.
your windows down, or just deal with it. Right.
Exactly. All right, Ernie, show us the next beautiful bean footage.
Oh.
Just sloppy. I don't know if there's...
They just set an amp up there. It's just kicking.
Now, the amp looks like it's got fuses in it. So there's fuses here in the amplifier.
What is your theory with that, Kip? Because I'm always curious, too. So if the amp has a fuse in it and you're going to run a power wire to the back, I would typically still have a fuse close to the amp anyway. But in a case like this, the amp should blow a fuse if there's a problem, but you still have that live wire without any kind of a...
In this scenario here, for me, it really depends on what's going on in the car as far as the rest of the electrical. If this was a one wire from the battery and the battery's in the front of the car and there's a proper fuse at the front, and we've run this wire to the back and the amplifier is properly fused and this wire is going to just that one amplifier, in my book, it's properly fused. Because if anything happens to those fuses in the amplifier, or if anything happens to that amplifier, those fuses are going to blow, and the amplifier is not going to draw any more current. If anything happens to the wire, the fuse at the front's going to blow, and there's nothing in the back that's creating current. Now, if this was a 2-battery setup, which I see a lot of this, that guys will do this, and then they'll put in a 2-battery setup, everything I just said is out the window, because now those fuses blowing does not disconnect that rear battery from that feed all the way to the front, and now you could have potentially a bigger problem if it's a problem with the wire. So it's my answer is it depends on what the rest of the setup is. It's whether I would call this okay or not. Yeah, the amp's mounted securely. I mean, without joking, guys, seriously, I mean this sincerely. Amplifiers, speakers, subwoofers, if you don't have these securely mounted in your vehicle and you get into a situation where you got to brake really hard or accelerate really fast or turn a corner or make an emergency maneuver or get in an accident, those things become flying projectiles really fast. And an amplifier that you pick out and it's got all the heat sink and everything else, so you take an amp that's 15, 20, 25 pounds and you're going down the highway 50, 60 mile an hour and you were to get into an accident, that becomes a flying 20-pound projectile, and it will, besides damaging the car, hopefully it doesn't hit you, because it can cause a lot of serious harm, bodily injury. So all joking aside, that's why we stress it's got to be mounted properly in the car and securely, because cars move.
Right. And you definitely can't put those seats down on that, because they're sitting up higher than the bumps for the...
Exactly. Now
Oh.
this...
That looks like a decent speaker, too.
Hold on, that is cardboard, and it looks
Foam.
like a 3-inch speaker and a 8-inch speaker hole. Ish.
Very positive. I was thinking it was a 4-inch or 4.5.
If it's a 4 or 4.5, that is a huge door speaker.
Well, that's true too.
It could be an
right
8.
there.
I mean, some have 10s, I guess, in the doors, depending on what kind of vehicle it is. So it's possible.
Well, I know my wife's car has 8-inch speakers in the front and its doors, but the cutout's actually larger than 8 because it's got that funky plastic factory housing bracket that covers up that odd shaped hole. But that's what that looks like, is some odd factory hole that's designed to hold a large driver.
Well, and you know, this is the great reason to go on a website like Crutchfield and look for brackets to mount your speakers, because they pretty much have almost anything you need to mount.
Yeah,
if
I don't think
they
they do an 8-inch to a 4-inch though.
Yeah, that's in a case like this. And the comments here are just hilarious. So much glue. I think here I got to show Weber fan 1234. I think I did this install when I was 10. At least you started early. You learned the wrong way to do it, and now you're doing it the right way. I couldn't agree with Derek more on this comment. You know, hit up Crutchfield. They sell adapters to put just about any upgraded speaker into any of the weird factory openings. It's like why on our KS speaker line, like our 6x9s and 6.5s, they come with those adapter brackets already in the box, so you can fit it into GM, Toyota, and some of those odd ones that don't really have a round hole anymore. It's a funky bracket. We actually include those in our KS. But if this is something where you can't get an adapter bracket, or you're trying to do something really unique to put a different size in than an adapter bracket's not made for, you don't want to make it out of MDF because the door is exposed to moisture all the time. You could go with more of a wood if you wanted to. I mean, the old school guys, we would use other woods. But honestly, in a case like this, you'd be much better off making it out of expanded styrofoam or expanded styrene, blown ABS, anything like that. Make it out of some kind of a polymer product. Then it's moisture resistant. It's going to stay that shape forever, and then you can mount the driver securely to that. And when you mount those adapter plates and the speaker to the adapter plate and the adapter plate to the car, be sure you use some thin gasketing tape to prevent the plastic from vibrating against the metal and to get that a good seal, and the same thing with the speaker against the adapter plate. A shout out to him. I know Dean has over in the DNF tool drawer, they actually have links to the actual gasketing tape that they use for all their speaker stuff. It's a nice thin tape that works really well for that. So just a shout out, if you're looking to where to find that, just hit DNF tool drawer and you can get that, and they have the links to get that type of product. But
yeah, I got a cheapskate tip for you too. Just go to the Dollar Tree or their dollar store, and they sell like 3/8-inch cutting boards that are made out of plastic. Cut them dudes up.
Robert, that is a fantastic idea. That is actually a great idea. Great. That's a wonderful idea. Yeah, that would be a whole lot better than we got going here. The thing is, the person who did this install, they were obviously trying to get the concept right, which is seal the speaker front from the back, but the execution is just bad.
I wonder if once they finish this install, do they really think they upgraded overall, or
There's no way you could listen to that and think it's an upgrade. Scott from Power Hog, he's saying that's a C5, C6 Corvette, so he must be familiar with that door panel. He's saying that's actually a Corvette. That actually makes me feel even worse that somebody did that to a Corvette.
Yeah, he said it has a 10-inch in the door, so he said that could be a 4-inch or even a 5 1/4.
That's my car. Don't hate. We're not hating. We're just saying we got to clean up the install. It's not up to standards, especially in a vet.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, this has just got so much wrong on it. I don't know where to start.
Oh,
I don't know what else
the
hooked
home
up to
wiring, the Romex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
It looks like what, 12.3? That's at least, or 14.3?
That's probably. Here's the thing: if that is, SOJ or SOW, if I got my numbers right, that could be a power cord that is stranded wire. So you're probably okay on the stranded front. That whole debate on stranded versus solid copper, I mean, some people like to get in the weeds on that. Some people think that solid copper is the nth degree for nuances and electron flow and getting stuff to your speaker. And let's just pretend solid copper is the way to roll. The problem is I don't think you're going to run 4 gauge, 8 gauge, 10 gauge, any of that wire in a car safely, be able to bend it around. And the thing that comes into play is that is soft annealed copper, so it can be bent. And in a car with vibration over time, you'll actually crack it. That's why we use stranded wire in the car, because it deals with vibration. Solid copper will not live in an automobile for any length of time because of all the vibration. So
yeah, I think you're right, Kip. It does look like an extension cord now that I look at it again, because I do see some stranded wires there on the negative terminal.
Well, this is obviously for accessories, because he's got the main power 4 gauge hooked up as well. So he's just running accessories off of this.
Here's someone chimed in. It looks like 14.2 extension cord. Yeah, we're thinking it's in that line of a 14.2, 16.2. Do what? 2 extension cords. 2 extension cords for the win. 10. It's 10. Hey, combined it's 10 gauge Superflex. Brian, that's a good comment.
How far big a wire?
I'm pretty sure I've read of a manufacturer asking you to use lamp cord in your install and some old material. So,
lamp cord. If you want to run standard lamp cord for speakers, copper's copper, really. I mean, again, if you want to get into the weeds on some of the technology people like to sell you on wire, but you'll get me on gauge all day long before you'll get me on anything else. All right, Ernie, let's move along to the next. Wow, there it is. There it is.
God level at the end, right? Or no. That's the one with all the. I really just
this one. This one here is, I mean, it's almost like this little piggy went to market and this little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. The first one at the far left, just looking at it for what I can tell, is number one, it doesn't look like they cleaned any of the paint away from underneath the connector. Number two, and I know that's a self-tap screw. Just looking at it, that's a wafer head self-tap. That or it's a pointy. And you can't, that's not a good ground by any stretch of the imagination, just screwing in like that. It's going to vibrate over time. It's going to get loose. You're not getting a solid ground there. The one in the middle, it looks like they scraped the paint away, which that's a good start. And this is some technique that apparently has become popular over the last couple of years. I never saw this when I was an installer at all, or when I was a rep. But it's okay, well, we'll put 3 screws in there and that'll keep it from moving and vibrating. It's still not a good solid ground connection by any stretch of the imagination. And then last but not least, I don't know what's going on at the far right there. It looks like that might be some kind of a factory bolt. Looks like they might have scraped the paint away. As long as it's a good solid connection with low resistance, that one on the right could be acceptable. The 2 on the left, I can't say are good at all.
Yeah, I think they were showing the different levels here. So showing not to do left, not to do middle. It's a little better, but the one on the right is definitely the one that you want.
Yeah, the one on the right.
Don't use those. I hate those terminals, though. I despise those type of terminals.
Nobody's talking about how they grounded with a power wire. There's pics in my email? From Bill? Okay, I'll check my email. I'll look at my email for pics. So, do you have anything left? No. You're out? No, let's go to email, see what people send in. All right, well, hold on. Let me get to my email. You wanted me to do something here on the fly. So
wow, we'll say, I don't know if you've seen them. They have these grounding straps now that they make, and it's got the 3 holes in it already. So you put 3 self-tappers in there. I'm not a fan of
To
those.
do what
either,
you're
but-
talking about.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Open up the email. Social. Man, how many did he send me? Apparently a lot. Okay, well, we'll see if it, see what loads up here.
Kip, can I share a pic through here, or does that not work?
Do it. No, do it. Go ahead and share a pic. If you got one, screen share it. Go for it. You can do that while I'm getting these up here on this end.
I think you guys have to drop it in. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it there. Add to stream.
There we go. So, house speaker in the back of your car. This is something that a lot of us did back in the day. I don't know that it's horrible.
I did it too.
No. Mine was, was that a Sharp? That's what I had. Two Sharp towers
It's
in the
it's
car.
Pioneer,
Okay,
I
I could
believe.
tell.
But what's really odd is the layout of the drivers, because the tweeter is at the bottom, the mid-range is above that, and then the mid, and then the mid-range is higher than that, and the obviously the 12-inch was at the bottom. It looks like they may have to cut out the speaker a little bit. You know, went from a 10-inch to a 12 or an 8 to a 10.
Yep,
So
I
it's
agree.
a little larger than probably it needs. So the tuning frequency is probably off. And also notice the bottom port is
gone.
missing.
She's gone.
Yeah, the tube. So
It's-
we're tuned at
it's-
probably 85 hertz or so.
Yeah, probably. Really, it's probably tuned pretty. You know, maybe this was the manufacturer of the home speaker. Maybe this was their. They probably put the tweeter down there, and that it could have been a take on like a Diapolito array or some kind of a lobing with the phase. I mean, when you're designing speakers, you can get into all sorts of crazy stuff like that, where the actual physical location of the drivers to each other can cause, you know, a wider dispersion pattern or a taller dispersion pattern. I would guess that's why those speakers are in that pattern, is they had a reason for it. At least I would sure hope so.
Well, you're getting some reflection off of the back window maybe of the mids and highs, so it's possible it could be a loading effect, right?
It's rear fill.
Yeah.
Right. One, you're
It's
going to
just-
get a
it's
lot
just
of bass with those internal passive crossovers that are designed with that. It's just going to kill it.
Oh, this is okay. This is a.
I'll stop sharing so you can.
All right, you got that. All right, so Ernie, come over to my screen, which is going to be a dumpster fire because I'm trying to do 30,000 things at once. And we've got this one here. Is this showing up on the screen?
We're seeing Microsoft Outlook Deep Link.
There, boom, boom, boom.
There it is.
Boom.
Oh.
So
The power wire run on the outside.
Did they tape it to the outside of the car?
they taped it to the outside of the car, and they did leave a safety helmet in the trunk to make sure that this met all OSHA qualifications.
They got the nice gaffer's tape there. So
That is classic.
That is, you know, that's one way to get it done. I won't say it's the way to get it done, but that is definitely one way to get that accomplished. But I love the fact that there's a safety helmet in there. I mean, that just...
in case of
I don't know.
fire.
That's awesome. Let's see. So I'm in my email here. Hopefully there's nothing bad that comes up on screen. Oh, yeah, this is good. Let's open this one up. This is mighty nice, Clark. So here we got lots and lots and lots of splices going on here. And, you know, for me, like these are, is that a butt connector or is that a one of those push-on?
It looks like a
Around the
butt
bullets.
connector just crimped on one end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, if you run out of the top hat style, you know, you can just use a butt connector. Why not, right?
There you go. There you go. Just hope nothing gets poked into that other end that's also connected to the live wires at this end. So it's not protected as well as a top hat would be. But this right here, I'll say this right now. These connectors right here, in our industry, you know, we call them T-taps. That's kind of the 3M term for those. Generically, they're called insulation displacement connectors. And the way those work is there's a little clip in there that's got a U notch in it. And when you compress those together around a wire with pliers, that U breaks through the insulation and pierces the wire underneath. And then you can plug a spade connector onto that. So it's like that's why it's called a T-tap or an insulation displacement connector. The problem with these that I've had experience with in car is when you put these on stranded wire, it typically breaks some of the stranding that's underneath, and then over time in a car with vibration, it just eventually breaks that wire in half and becomes just a crappy connection. I cannot, with good conscience, ever recommend using IDCs or T-taps in a car. I just can't.
Sorry, I'm over here. I've got a good picture somewhere. I just got.
Yeah, I've got another one to share, Kip. If
Pull
you
it.
don't.
Yeah.
No, pull. Yeah, if you got it, bring it up. Let's do it.
So this one's not horrible, but it's intriguing me and get you guys' opinion on what you think. So this is the back of a sedan, and there is some kind of a thin subwoofer box at the bottom.
Right.
But yet we still have the floor
They got
mats
floor
on
mats.
top.
I mean, you got to keep the floor mats.
But it looks like the box itself has got the Rhino liner coating on it.
Yeah.
But I just feel sorry for the people sitting in the back seat because their knees are going to be up at their eyeballs.
I mean, it's going to be a little tight in there, but at least he's keeping it clean.
Yeah, it's definitely clean.
Hey, it's like when you do a one-seat tune. Like, who cares about them other guys? You're just worried about yourself, right?
El Fuego, we only the best tips. Only the best tips do we share her on Unmasked Live. They may not be the right way to do it, but they're good tips. We try to share good information here, man.
Right,
of course,
here we go.
Having a little fun at this is fun. Hey, I agree with you there, Chris. Chris has found the biggest problem with that install that you showed, Derek. You can't even recline the seats. I mean, that's it right there. That's the biggest problem. When you hop in to get a demo. You know, hey, Robert, we'll have to ask Dean that when he's here next week, how many picks he's got, or if he even does that, collecting picks of installs that come into his shop.
He
that are
does.
just really
that's
bad.
what I'm looking through right
he?
now, because he's shared a Dropbox. So there's one particular picture I want you guys to see. I just can't find it for the life of me.
I put one as an asset. If somebody can share it, then we can see.
Yep, I got it. Hold on a second. Add to the stream. Whoa!
Oh, nice.
So front stage for the win.
Edging, man.
You know, as I got into the car and I started judging, it appeared to me very rapidly that it had a strong center image with a heavy bias to the left side.
I've got one better than this hold on, I'll pull it up while Rob's looking for his, because that one's good, but there's one that's much better for the center stage.
Oh, that's hilarious. Bill does have some stuff dropped in my box here. I'm trying to.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, we got to bring this one up. Hold on.
Oh, fire.
So, this is obviously, Bill sent this one along. I don't know where he got it or someone sent it to him. But Mike Craner. So this actually came from a kicker dealer up in Layton, Utah, Mike Craner. And guys, when we tell you, it's great to look at these things and poke and have fun and laugh about it. I'm just as good as the next person that's enjoying looking at some stuff to have some good fun at. But at the end of the day, and that's why we're trying to point these out and kind of give you little tips or hints how to don't do it that way and kind of go this direction, is because this is the end result of doing something way improperly. It's going to be really hard for us to tell what happened, but I can guarantee you this was definitely a member of Team No Fuse. Something started dumping current, and it just never stopped. It could have been, just battery in the front, could have been battery in the back, no fuse on either end, whatever it is. But it's no joke. You got to make sure you're using the right gauge wire, and you got to make sure you do a safe install, or this is a possibility that you could experience. So, wow, this one's bad. Thanks for sending this one, Bill. This is crazy. I know, matter of fact, I don't need to guess. I know Mike Craner's tuned into the feed, Mike. Thanks for sending this along. Wow, that's crazy. You got anything else over there yet?
A really scary one too, of the one of the tractor trailers from years ago, one of the Brazilian companies.
Oh.
And the whole back of the tractor trailer caught on fire, and that's very scary too. You can imagine.
What have you ever had to do here? Let's look at this real quick.
Hey, Ernie, bring this one up real fast. Okay, thank you. So this here, guys, I mean, obviously see what's going on here. Someone took a fuse and they simply wrapped wire around it and then used electrical tape to hold it to that. The amount of you can't wrap that wire around that tight enough by hand or apply enough tape tight enough that that's going to be a solid, reliable connection. That's going to be a high resistance spot. You're going to lose a lot of current through there. You're going to cause a fire situation. There's just no two ways around that. You've got to use the proper connectors and make sure they're bolted tight. If you're going to do this and just trying to chintz out on it, the least you should do is put a couple ring terminals on the wire and then bolt those ring terminals directly through those fuse holes so it's a tight, solid connection, and then insulate it. I mean, if you're trying to really skimp, at least go that route. Don't just wrap the wire around the terminals. That's bad. That's bad juju.
Well, have you ever just not wanted a remote wire and wanted a way to turn your amp off? Click on the share this screen and you'll see this is this is one Dean got in here.
What the?
Yeah, so when you need to cut your amp off, if you get pulled over, you just hit the toggle.
So they put a toggle off of the main power line to the remote.
Yeah, pro move.
Wow.
A lot of these are ones that Dean shared with me because I forgot that we even done this show, but yeah, we've got some gems here.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Like that ground right there, that's pretty nice.
That is premium, right there off of the brake fluid reservoir. It looks like.
Oh, this one's great. This is the one I was looking for. So you see the nice seat lift they have here?
Yes.
Quality seat lift, and why not have your kid on top of that?
That
seems super safe.
Brian Park, valet mode. Yeah, I mean I guess that is a new valet mode. I'll have to put that into my repertoire. Just come off with the power. And it may have been because it was wrapped in tape. You couldn't see it. I actually have a picture of it in some files on my laptop. We don't need to pull them up, but I'm sure all of you have seen where they will take and run a screw through a ring terminal and then run that screw into the 4-gauge or the 1/0 wire. And guys, don't do that.
I seen that on a TV show for a SEMA build.
I did too, and I cringed the moment I saw it happen. I could not believe that someone was putting that type of a use application on a TV show to even, because if someone who's uneducated sees that, they just think, well, that's the pro tip. That's how you do it. And someone who is educated, I hope they would go like, don't do that. Because that's just bad. I mean, I've seen ones like that, and it's just horrible. You got another one there?
Okay, here we go. I can stop sharing mine.
Ernie says he sent me some. He said he sent some, so I got to look here real quick. Ernie Ficklin. Okay, here's Ernie. So these are from Ernie.
That's from Andy.
Oh, that's from Andy?
Yeah, it's been there.
Oh, using home speakers?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me get it up and you can show it. Oh, no, go ahead and throw it up. So this photo here is from Andy McGill. And everybody knows, at least I think most people in this feed know who Andy is, Living Loud with Andy. But obviously his Solo X18, and then he's got a pair of, I don't know, those Iowa or Sony, or might be Sony's, bookshelf speakers. Looks like he's doing his mids and highs off a set of home bookshelves.
Yeah, get a nice reflection off that windshield too.
Yeah.
Those are like mini system speakers, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that came with those little, yeah, cool.
That's cool. Thanks for that picture, Andy. And then did you send me another beauty there, Ernie? Okay, I'll bring it up too. Hold on, let me get it. Let me go full screen. Okay, bring it up, Ernie, unless you already have. Yeah, there's nothing in this that's safe at all. Wow. Yeah. It looks like that almost looks like it's a wood screw with wires wrapped around it, forced into the metal.
Yeah.
I think before at the top they were listening to your earlier comment, Kip, but they just didn't execute it well because they stripped the wire back, but they didn't push it through the middle and wrap it. They just kind of wrapped it around, which
no, they didn't. And it's there's some things that you can do with wiring that seem low rent, but if executed properly, like a lineman splice, or if you strip back a wire that's stranded and open it up right in the center and run your other wire through it and then do a lineman splice around, pull it tight, and then apply some solder and heat shrink or tape, you can do some great connections like that. The thing is, at the end of the day, there's really better tools to get the job done. Those are things you do in a pinch. They're not things that I would recommend you do on a daily basis. Bill, did you send me any other really good ones, or is that it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the same one from Bill.
In a penny pinch, you could do that.
Bump. That's a good one.
Rob,
So here, I'm
expected
gonna bring up real quick. Let me pull up Ernie. I'm gonna bring up my folder. Hold on a second. Oh, tab. Okay, you got me up, Ernie? Okay, so this is from our good friends down in Florida. This is actually Chris Vieira and Roger Lockridge, and I'm assuming I didn't get a full rundown on this, but this is obviously the exterior view of a car that they worked on, and this is the rat's nest that they experienced under the dash of the vehicle, and you can just look at that and see so many things that are wrong. The way the connections are done, the length of wires, the routing, everything about that is just bad. And it may work. We don't know for how long, and we don't know safely for how long, but that's just a prime example. I mean, there's that green wire. It looks like a ground wire, and it's just hanging there.
The simple answer here is painless wiring kit.
There you go. 100%. Yes.
If you get a car like this, like my 37 was actually a lot like this. When I first got it, I showed some of the video of the wiring, and it was very scary, and that's the first thing that I did. Is I pulled out all the old wiring and had a painless kit put in. So now I'm at least starting with something safe. And it's very important when you have an old classic car like this, you want to make sure that it's not going to catch on fire. I mean, you can't replace it in a lot of ways.
And then this, I guess they tried to dynamite the car, whoever did it, but obviously did not do a very good job at all. It's not adhered very well. It's torn in places. I mean, it's just a poor dynamite job all the way around. Just not good at all. I'm going to buzz through here. Here's a new way to route wires through your cigarette lighter hole.
Nice.
And then up through your steering column. And
that is interesting.
And then you zip tie it to the actual steering mechanism.
Well,
that way
I
you
guess
can
if
tell.
you don't smoke, then that hole is not really used for anything. So
you got a valid point there.
Well,
maybe we could do.
Pro tip is to get a USB adapter and plug it in, and then you have 2 USB ports.
There you go. And the other pro tip is don't have all these wires pulled through your cigarette lighter hole that are just bare, unless that's your easy, quick disconnect. I don't know. That's just let's not
Kip,
do
you're giving
that.
away that you're old because kids 25 and under don't know that as a cigarette lighter. They know that as a 12-volt outlet.
I know PowerPort is what they refer to today. Yeah, I admit I am showing my age because we called them cigarette lighter. That's what they were, cigarette lighter plugs.
That's what they were.
Here's another example. Of course, we showed earlier. Don't use these. That's just a bad way to do it. Don't do that.
And there was a bare wire up there too. Did you see that?
There was. I did see that. There's a bare wire, bare red wire up there at the top. There's an orange wire that's bare. Mm-hmm. Just these connectors, guys, do not use these in the car. Just don't. They're not safe. This is just a prime example. The wiring's not very clean. It may be safe. I really can't tell from this angle. I'm going to guess that it's not, but the amplifier is not mounted, as you can see, and that's you want the amp mounted. There's no way you want to deal with that. And then this one I pulled out, and there's a lot going on there, but I think the thing that probably bothers me the most as I look at that.
There's not one fuse.
Yeah, there's not a single fuse to be seen in that whole setup, and there's 4 batteries, and they're using, it appears to me, a wide variety of brackets available from your local home improvement store. There's some L brackets, looks like there's some stair brackets. There's all these brackets that have just been screwed into and as we know, that piece of, unless they've upgraded it, and we don't know that, but that's probably just the factory cover over the spare tire, which is made of cardboard. You get into a situation again where you got to stop fast, make a quick maneuver, get into an accident. Those batteries are going to become flying projectiles.
Well, Robert can tell us this because Robert works with batteries every day. But how safe is it, Rob, to put a screw into a battery case?
A battery case? Outside the acid leaking out, you'll be okay.
Okay.
It's not.
It's
like lithium,
I don't know what. I don't know how the L brackets are going to work without being adhered. It looks like the one on the right is not, but the one on the left appears to have a screw going.
I didn't even notice that. I've seen people use those L brackets just as holders, so they do them to the floor, and they're trying to do that pressure mount like a tweeter.
Exactly.
And it could be because it looks like there is a larger size board that has the factory color carpet on it that the amp's sitting on. If you can see that, because if you see just above the red power wire on the right, it looks like it's above the floor, so they may be using that. But then, unfortunately, since we have all different, not only different types of batteries as far as group size, but we have different brands. They're not all the same length, so they're not all going to be fit at the same angle or anything. So
No.
well, it's a pro move not done right.
Pro move, yeah, pro application, just not executed properly. Again, here we've got an amplifier. That's where my gum wrappers went. It's just not mounted down, wiring's not safe, it's just not clean. Don't do that. And then this one, I love this one. It's a passive, looks like it's a passive crossover, or that could be
that's a line output
converter.
That's definitely
and it's just,
what it is.
It's just hanging there. And, you know, driving down the road, that box hanging there, it's going to tug and pull. It's going to break the connections. There's all that extra wire over to the left. You can see all the wire, the extra wire and fray wire that's sticking out of the terminals on the amplifier. That's just bad. You know, this is just another example we've already talked about a little bit in some of the previous photos.
You know, the serious thing about all this, Kip, and all these pictures, and it's something that we talked about with Chris before when he was on 12 Volt Talk, is you have to understand that, you know, some people that do this on the side and just want to help people out, they don't have the skill to do the install the right way. So you really have to be careful when you're getting a friend or a friend of a friend or somebody you find on Facebook to do an install for you. Make sure you see pictures of what they've done. Make sure you've talked to people that they've done installs for. Make sure they know what they're doing, because you don't want to spend any money and get something like this, because it's just... it's dangerous, and it's going to be something that's going to break.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more on that, Derek. And here's what's interesting, and I'm not going to call out any particular store for my past, because it doesn't matter. But this install that we're looking at here, this could have been a brother's cousin's uncle who claims he knows how to install gear and did it for an extremely low price or almost for free. This could have been a guy who says, I'm a professional, and so I went ahead and did this, and this is the work. And this could even be the first day at a retail store that a kid was let loose in the back who's never worked on cars before, says he's an installer, and this could have come out of a real retail store. The sad part about any of those scenarios is whoever's car this is, they're not going to get the full enjoyment out of the system. They're not going to have a good impression of what the product can do, and they're driving something that over time is not going to be safe or reliable.
Yeah. And I don't see one piece of TechFlex or test tape anywhere. So how could they be considered pro?
Well, I didn't mean to. I was going to wait till the end, but this actually came out of a folder that said Dean the early days.
Oh no! Shots fired, Dean.
No, I'm just joking with him. He'll get me back. He's got a week to come up with a good one. He'll get me back. He's good with the zingers. This here is another one I pulled out. I'm looking at the clock and watching the time here. We'll throw a few more through here and then we'll pull out. But obviously this is a disaster. Dean would have nightmares over this. This is just horrible. You do want to get your harnesses cleaned up and tidy and try to get them into the car. I mean, this factory harness, you can see it's been cut. The wires have been pulled apart. There's some crimp caps. There's butt connectors. It's a mess.
This is when you holler over and be like, yo, Nando, you got a few seconds. I need you to work on this over here while I do something else.
You know, and the thing is, someone will have an install done like this, and then the customer who gets it, and then he'll go back, well, I've got engine noise, or I've got the right channels breaking or turning on and off. And, you know, first off, if the installer had the audacity to do this, he's not qualified to fix it, and the customer is just getting the raw end of the deal. It's really, it's sad. It's funny and sad to see installs like this. You know, here's another one. You know, this has got just horrible written all over it.
He's got all the accessories.
Yeah, there's not one he doesn't have in there.
It's like a packed steering wheel control and something else, and yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's just not clean. It's not tidied up. Some of the wires are pulled back and stripped and looks like they're wrapped around. And it's not that there's anything wrong with using butt connectors or crimp caps. Used properly, those products are fine in an install. It's just, you got to have it clean. You got to have it neat. You got to make sure it's tidy or you're going to have problems. There's another shining example. Way too much wire laying everywhere. Amplifiers just sitting on the floor, not mounted down. You're driving around in a car. One amplifier could slide into the other one. It could cause a short or an arc between the power and ground and get into a situation with a fire. I can guarantee you, looking at this, I don't think there's a fuse to be had in that power line anywhere.
No, but he's got a capacitor to help with the lights dimming.
It'll perform.
Yeah.
just stuff like that. And then, of course, Ernie already brought this one up earlier, so I'm just going to skip it. Oof. Here's another install. I mean, this is some, I mean, look at this. This is some great product. Yeah, this is great product. And you just look at what's going on in there. It's fantastic product, but that install, man, that's just. Do what? Maybe they want to move their stuff later? Man, well, they're going to move their stuff later whether they want to or not. I mean, they've got whatever they're using for power. I mean, I'm assuming that's power wire because it's blue, but you can see there it's connected to some kind of a terminal block system with no cover on it whatsoever. You've got exposed 12 volt right there.
Well, there's like, I see probably like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of equipment right there.
Easily.
With that kind of wiring install.
It's just, it's sad. Of course, here, this is just another fine example of something done completely haphazardly and wrong. All the extra wire, stuff not done. You can see there's some taping going on there. It's just bad. I'm just going to blow through these. It looks like
when you're walking through like a haunted house for Halloween, how they just hang stuff from this. That's what it looks like.
Yes, exactly. And so, you know, that's bad. This one here, one of the most creative uses, I guess, of a wire tie I've seen in a while, because they actually wire tied the amplifier to the harness in the car, I guess. It's just,
well, they got Tessa tape, so I think it's going to be okay.
And then, of course, here's another fun. I mean, this is a faux cow speaker, folks, a faux cow speaker, and it's been mounted to a piece of cardboard that's mounted to the factory opening. First off, there's no way that speaker's ever got a chance to sound good. As soon as it goes through the first rainstorm, first car wash, that cardboard's going to be deteriorated and gone. That speaker's going to be just loose and flopping in the door. I mean, it's sad to see someone who invested so much money in a piece of gear, and it's not mounted properly, so it's not going to last. The gear's going to get damaged, and you're never going to get the sound performance that gear was designed for, ever. It's a low-rent aperiodic membrane. That's what Bill just said. Someone blow through a couple of these.
Piece of cardboard.
This one here was one of my favorites. Is apparently the surround got torn, and they figured the way to fix it was to screw it down.
Did RVH send this picture in?
No,
I figure this is what he sends to tech support when he blows speakers all the time. Like, yeah, don't worry, guys, I fixed it.
It's all fixed. This one here, I laughed my butt off when I found this one. It's just, you know, the wires are going under and the cone and through and back around and different gauges, and they're exposed. And I mean, that's got dumpster fire written all over it. And this one I thought was great because, you know, it's 3 different brands of woofers, so you know each one's got a different response characteristic. Just looking at the box, you know that's one common chamber because I don't see any divider screws at all. So we got, it looks like maybe a 10 or a 12-inch comp, along with skull woofer, which looks like it's an 8-inch of something. And then at the far right, is that an Oz maybe?
Planet Audio.
Planet Audio, but you know, guys, don't do that. You can't have 3 different woofers of 3 different makes or models all in the same airspace and expect any of them to sound good.
And who's going to use a $60 piece of OSB when they could use a $30 piece of MDF?
Exactly.
So they're probably here's what you guys don't realize about this. The Kicker sub is active. The other 2 are acting as passive radiators.
You know, I knew I missed the point on this. Thank you for correcting me. I am so sorry. If this is your install, please write in. We want to know. So moving along next, I just want to hit some of these real quick. This right here, this is a guaranteed failure. Those speakers are not going to last very long. They are completely exposed and in the front of the vehicle. I guess if you want parade audio, that's one way to do it, but those speakers aren't going to last very long at all.
They're trying to get me to put my earplugs in at the base when I'm walking by.
It is the Robert Hi-Fi Vega Certified Install Edition with bullet tweeters and some Pro Sound mids with no back behind them.
At least it's low, sweet. Rob, so it doesn't hit you right in the face.
Right.
It hits you in the knees.
It's got to walk its way up.
That's it'll politely crawl your shoulder before it pinches your ear off. This here, I mean, I understand the concept. They put it under the truck. I guess they're trying to, to get audio outside, which is fine. I understand the concept. But there's absolutely no covering, no grills, no anything. And those Pro Sound drivers are paper. Those are not going to last under that vehicle very long at all. Debris from the road, rocks, are all going to fly up and hit them. And then, of course, moisture and rain, they're not going to last.
I've never seen anybody do that, like underneath the car, firing the woofers down or mids or whatever they are. Never seen that.
I've seen various applications of this in the past from certain people, but this one here, it's just those woofers are not going to last. There's no protection. I mean, there's nothing at all there to keep those woofers lasting.
This has got Brazil written all over it.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Wouldn't you want to use some kind of a marine grade speaker if you wanted to do that underneath the vehicle?
Absolutely.
And have metal grills, and
Yes.
even at that point you would still
It's still going to mess up over time.
yeah
but
you're
get
not going to
longer.
get a long life out of them.
But at least a speaker designed for marine, as long as you put some kind of a fine mesh grill over it to protect it from debris from the road hitting them, they'd have a much better chance of surviving in this application than using something like this. And then if we've already seen this picture. This is a close-up of it. We saw it earlier, so there's no need to, that's just bad. This one here, most
that.
creative battery install I've ever seen in my life, I think. Wrenches that are somehow attached to the battery. Looks like the one might be welded. And then they come out, the positive is just screwed through one end of the wrench, and the other end of the wrench is attached to the body of the said vehicle.
I wouldn't make too much fun of them because it says IRA on it. And in my recollection, that's the Irish Republic Army, isn't it?
Well, they had to do what they had to do in a pinch, so they're showing it proudly for the world to see.
I think in the line of fuses, the wrench is 5,000 amps is what they rate it.
Well, it depends. Are you using a 3/8 or ½ inch?
True that.
And of course, this is another prime example that I found online where that looks like it's probably a 4x6 speaker that's popped into a 6x9 location. There's no way that speaker has any chance of sounding good, and you're just hurting your. Never. If you've got a 6x9 opening in your door, throw another 6x9 into that location, or at least a 6.5, or do some modification and go to an 8. I mean, don't go down to a speaker that's that much smaller and with no baffle. That speaker doesn't have a chance. This, I'm not sure what to say here, other than looks like they use spray foam to mount the comp enclosure into the window.
Oh my!
I
thought it was like a Halloween prop there when it first came up. Seriously, but now I see what you're saying.
It is literally a comp enclosure that they have spray foamed into the rear window area. That's not safe at all. Don't do that. And then of course, I'm not sure, but I think this speaker's probably out of warranty, and it's time to get yourself a new one. That speaker has had mucho amounts of tape applied to it to try to keep it going. Yeah, that's out of warranty, guys. That needs to be replaced.
That one be sold on Facebook Marketplace, $80. Recently been repaired.
Yes.
Still bumped. It's still bumped though.
Still
Old
bumped
school.
though. Makes
Yeah, old
great
school.
bass. I know what I got. $100 best offer. Then, I'm looking up at the clock. I'll hit a couple more real quick. But this is another one of those serious instances where, these woofers were probably, I say probably, more than definitely overpowered with a big amplifier, and the amplifier was run into almost square wave clipping for a very long amount of time. That is what creates the kind of heat that will melt the adhesives on a voice coil, start that wire coming loose, could start, get them to rubbing and get to the point where you've got this kind of heat to create a fire in a woofer enclosure. But yeah, that's just bad news right there. When I saw this one, I had to share it.
Yeah, that's Beavis and Butthead Fire approved.
This right here, I gotta think that's a boat, and this was how they were trying to keep the amplifiers cool on a hot summer day. They just threw a bag of ice down there with the amplifiers. I thought it was funny, so I had to share it.
Hey, forget active cooling. We have passive cooling.
And unless I'm mistaken, that bag of ice is sitting on top of another amplifier. So
Yes, it is.
As that water melts and drips down to that amplifier, I certainly hope it's a marine amp so it has a chance to survive that moisture coming inside of it.
This seems like something crazy that you guys would do. This seems like a
for
kid.
fun.
Let's see if we can break it doing this.
Yeah, that does sound like a kind of a kit test. You're right, Rob.
I see a show topic coming out of this one.
Right.
And then this here, of course, Ernie had one like this. So I had one of these I found as well, where it was right there. It's looks like a new. It's not even an old work box. It's a new work box, and it's somehow attached to the dash with the switch in it, and that's a remote turn on for probably the amplifier.
We're
very
missing
similar to the one.
the cover. Come on, people! If you're going to do this, at least put the cover over it.
And color match it. It's got to be black. I mean, get a black or a gray. Don't go with white or almond. Get the right one. So anyhow, there's another one there. You know, team. I'm just going to blob some solder on the end of this and put it on a fuse. That's not going to work.
Just at that point, hook it directly up to your battery.
Yeah, another example of that poor grounding that we've seen.
Oh, that was the 3. That was the 3s I was telling you. There's actually 3 holes in some of them. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So that's one of those you were talking about right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just not a fan of that at all. It's not safe. And then this here, it's, you know, there's butt connector connected to a short piece of wire connected to a butt connector that's literally up against another butt connector. This is just, no, don't do this.
How did they get the wire butt connector to butt connector like that? That's pro.
That is pro level skill set right there. They cranked it up to 11.
Right.
But you know, something like that. That's, you know, in a scenario like that, if you cut it at one end and just splice yourself in or solder in a new length of wire and go to town, don't do that. That's just. The thing that's funny about all this as we look at this, I'm going to back up, as we look at all this is wire is used to carry current and electricity, but wire based on, you know, as we showed that when we compared CCA to copper, it's all a resistor, and you're just trying to put in the lowest resistance resistor to get the job done. When you add this many connections in a short piece of wire like that, you're just asking for current and voltage drop and problems. Don't do it.
Right.
Tear it apart and fix it up. And then, of course, this one here.
Nice.
Which, yeah, was kind of interesting is when you look at it, is they've got heat shrink that they didn't heat shrink, but then what's even...
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, the heat shrink's not heat shrunk, but then you look over on the amplifier to the right, they've got dual input adapters in the ground blocks, but they've only got one wire going to the first dual input adapter and then one wire coming out of it to the next one on the other side. It's like, you just wasted a whole bunch of money and performance there, because if you're just going to run one wire and do that, it's not going to give you the benefit of the dual input adapter. I mean, if you're going to use that, you need to be running 4 ground wires and 4 power wires to that amplifier. It was someone who, I think they had an idea that this is the way you do it because everyone uses these dual input adapters, but they didn't understand the concept of what they're trying to pull off here.
And we talk about a lot of times people are just checking boxes like, this is what the internet says I need to do. So they're going along checking all the boxes. And
yeah, I'm just going to blow through some of these real quick. Here's one I thought was crazy. Someone took the wire and they just wrapped it around the jack in the vehicle for their ground. I mean, that's obviously a no-no right there. So
you can't have no bass when you change a flat. That's the problem with that.
Well, I can't play my stereo while I change my tire? What do you mean? So I've got a whole bunch more in a folder. I'm looking at the clock, and man, we've run way over on the show tonight. I try not to do that, but we were having such a good time. There were such great photos. I figured, what the heck, we just run it out, especially having both you guys on the show. So would you mind hanging around while we draw some winners real quick? But I know these people are hanging in. They want to know if they want a prize tonight.
Yeah, that's cool. Real quick before we do that, though, I want to tell people to check out Steve Mead's channel, because he's got a 72 Chevelle that he did a couple years ago. And he went through and pulled everything out, and it was horrible, whoever did the install for the person before it came to him. And he put all the clips together. I think it's like an hour and a half, but he's got like 10 separate segments. But that's a really good one if you want to see really what not to do in a video format.
You know what's crazy is I sit here and I watch the clock and I try to keep us to that time frame, and then you get comments like this, 8 more minutes. Sometimes I think they would just have us stay on and on and on and on. They don't, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I appreciate that 25 Hertz Life. Hopefully you're having fun with all this. I mean, we had fun pulling these photos together, putting the show together tonight. You know, we are poking fun at bad installs. But you know, hopefully in the vein of doing that, we've explained a little bit of don't do it that way. This is why, and here's some tips that you can go and actually apply it and get it done the right way. I would much rather you got a properly terminated and safe install, even if the wiring's not as clean as you want it to be. Maybe you don't qualify for the Clean Wire Club, but if you're using the right fusing, if you got the right terminations, the right ground, if you connect everything up properly, at least you'll get good, solid performance that's safe. And if you end up having 16 inches more wire and it's wrapped right there and that's the way it is, if everything else is right, I'm going to give you a pass on that. That's way more important than some of the stuff we saw. And a lot of these installs, I mean, they've literally, there's 8, 10, 12 feet extra wire cord up there. You don't want that. That's just bad. Bad.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just looking here to see if there was another comment.
They said 8 more minutes, but what they don't know is if you go too long, Ernie's gonna walk out from that computer and he's just gonna punch you right in his arm or chest. Who knows?
So it's Kip up all night here on the USA Network.
Kip, if you go much longer, we're going to have to get you one of those headsets, that come down like this so you can sell your ShamWows or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Jesse's got him covered. Jesse's strong. He's got it on lock.
That's funny. 24 Live, Kip on the Late Show. Yeah, it is on the Late Show tonight. So I do thank everyone for tuning in. I think tonight was really fun looking at these. Hopefully you got something out of it. Remember, if you've got any serious questions about your install, what size wire to use, how to build your box, you need a tip, you need a hint, you're not sure if I'm doing it right, we got 5 guys that sit upstairs Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Central Time. And if you got an install question or design question about Kicker product, man, give these guys a call. It's 800-256-0808. That's the 800 number to dial in. We're here to give you guys a hand and help you work through this stuff. So please reach out. I'd rather you reach out and ask some questions, get it done right, and be safe than end up with like the photo that Mike showed. That's reality. You don't do the install right, you could burn your car down, and we don't want that to happen at all. So that's kind of the gist of the show. It went so well, maybe we'll do a part 2 of this sometime in the future. I know we can collect a whole bunch more photos and show this stuff. I had fun doing it. But with that said, Bill, let's get some winners up on the screen. Let's go for number 3, and that's going to be for a set of EB300 headphones, a Kicker Unmasked Live weekly gray shirt, and a pair of Kicker koozies so you can keep your favorite beverage nice and chilled while you're doing whatever you may be doing, whether it's mowing the yard or chilling out here on Kicker Unmasked Live every Tuesday night. And our winner number 3 is Tim R. from New York. Tim R. from New York, you're our 3rd place winner tonight. Congratulations and thank you. I always do this at the last or the 3rd, and I do it at the 1st, but what we need from you, you can reach out to Bill Frog directly if you want to right now. It's social@kicker.com, or Bill will be reaching out to all the winners tomorrow. So either way, there's going to be a communication email come your way. What we need you to do, if you reach out or you're responding to Bill's email, we need you to send us and confirm your address. Cannot be a P.O. box. We can't ship to a P.O. box. We need you to send us your phone number. And sincerely, it will go no further than into the information box for the shipping service. It doesn't matter how we send your shipment to you. They require a phone number in case on your end there's a delivery problem and they need to contact you. They have to have a phone number, so please provide that. Sincere when I say we do not use it for any marketing purposes. And last but not least, if you're like me, sometimes you're in a hurry and you hit the wrong size box. You don't need a medium. You need an extra large like me. Make sure you send us your shirt size and confirm that, and Bill will make sure that Sandy, who takes care of all that for us, gets the right shirt size out in the mail to you. So congratulations to our 3rd place winner tonight. Who's 2nd place, Bill? Winner number 2 is Mark P. from somewhere in the USA. He didn't say where, so Mark P., we'll get an email out to you. You are our 2nd place winner, and you're going to get a set of those koozies. You're going to get that Kicker Unmasked Live shirt, and you're going to get a set of those EB300 earbuds. Thank you for tuning in tonight and enjoying the show. Hope to see you back in a future episode. And that brings us to winner number 1, which is kind of cool since both of you talked about it. Winner number 1 tonight is getting a Bullfrog 100. So you're going to pick up a BF 100, you're going to pick up a Kicker t-shirt, and you're going to get a pair of koozies. So that is what we're giving away to winner number 1. And winner number 1 tonight is Mark P. from Texas. So Mark P. from Texas is our winner tonight. Didn't we just have a Mark P. for the 2nd place winner? Okay, Bill says it's a different P, so one P1 and another P1, so PP. We had 2 Ps win tonight, Ps in a pod. So that is our winners tonight. Congratulations to all our winners. Sincerely, thank you for tuning into the show tonight and spending some time with us. It's always a good time. We do this for you guys, so again, on your way out the door, if you could do me a favor, please, if you enjoyed the content of tonight's show, smash that thumbs up button for us. As you know, we don't monetize this feed, and we never will. It's not about that. It's just that when you give us a thumbs up, it lets us know that you're enjoying the content that we're putting forward. It helps us decide to do more of this type of show or do something else. So smash that thumbs up button. If you have any input to topics you'd like to see covered on the show, always reach out to social@kicker.com. That puts you straight into Bill Frog's inbox. He shares that with the whole team, and it helps guide what we do here on Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly. So sincere with that. This show is for you guys, so let us know what you like. Smash that thumbs up button. We sure appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, it is always fun when I get these 2 gentlemen together in person or virtually like this. So Mr. High Five Vega, Robert, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Derek Williston, pleasure as always having your guys' perspective on this and your input. It means a lot to me, and thank you for joining us here and spending time with the entire family that likes to join us here on Kicker Unmasked Live every Tuesday night.
Thanks for having us, Kip. It was a great time. Check me out at WillistonAudio.com. You can check out Rob at HiFiVega.com. And
tomorrow, 12V Talk.
That's right, tomorrow, 12V Talk. Again, thanks again for having us. We do appreciate it. This was a really fun show. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, and since you did the call out and shout on that, just real quick, you are still doing the Big 3 upgrade kits, are you not, Robert?
Yes, sir. HiFiVega.com.
Okay, be sure to check that out. Robert's been doing some personalized, his own take on Big 3 upgrade kits. I've watched every video he's put out. He's got some great stuff he's doing there. So if you're looking for an upgrade kit, definitely go check him out. You're supporting someone who supports the community, and he's putting together a great product to do that with. So be sure you go hit his website. What about other winners? Everyone we pulled, wait, Michael, you're one of the winners. I am going to tell you all the other winners we pulled from the John thing that's there. We're going to send you a shirt probably, and we'll probably send you some koozies, and we'll see what Sandy thinks we should add into the mix. We took your names on that. If you are one of the winners that we announced that we pulled randomly out of the feed, what I'll need you to do is please reach out to social@kicker.com. So that's going to put you right into Bill Frog's inbox. And when you reach out to social@kicker.com, what I'm going to need you to do is send me your full name, send me your address, no P.O. box, send me your shirt size, and send me your phone number. You send us that information, and that's those 8 or 9 or 10 people we pulled tonight. Send us that information to social@kicker.com. That puts you right into Bill Frog's box, and we are going to get you guys taken care of. So thanks for bringing that up, Michael. Good question. Thank you for answering that. That was such an impromptu contest that it was really kind of on the fly. So send us that information, and we're going to get you taken care of.
Hey,
With that said,
one more thing before we go.
No,
Kip,
go.
next time I'm
Yes.
on the show, the grand prize winner, I'll throw in a Stage 3 kit, HiFiVega Big 3 kit. So next time I'm on the show, we'll do that.
For real?
For real.
Okay, we're going to plan a show. We'll have you back on. When we do that, we will give away one of your Big 3 upgrade kits. That's fantastic. You know, it's just those impromptu things that happen on Kicker Unmasked Live. Like we tell you, it's live. We don't pre-record this. This is all off the cuff. We just come up with a topic we want to talk about, and we try to put together a great show for you guys. Man, that was not discussed earlier, so that is really generous of you, Robert, and we will definitely do that the next time we have you on the show, and thank you for offering that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay, with that said, I'm going to say goodnight to Mr. Robert Hi-Fi-Vega. I'm going to say goodnight to Big D, the man with the dyno that never sleeps, apparently, because he's doing test videos all the time. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. Can't say thank you enough. We will see you again on a future show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks
again,
for having
Kip.
us.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night.
To everyone else, as always, I am Kip Litzy, your host for Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly here. We've got Ernie back there punching all the keys, making all the camera action happen, getting all the assets up for us. Normally we got JW, but he's skipping town on an event. He's going to be back next week. But we've got Sandy. She did all that work for us tonight. As always, Bill Frog's back there. And Tim, he had to skip tonight. He's normally our camera guy, so we're limited on what we could do here on the cameras. But I think we did a pretty good show tonight, even with Tim being out of the house, but we'll be sure glad to get him back in. It's our pleasure to be the few people who get to represent the 200-plus employees here at Stillwater Designs and Audio in the heartland of America, Stillwater, Oklahoma. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. Have a safe rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next Tuesday, 7:30 Central Time, for another edition of Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly. Have a great week, everyone. See ya.